All right, what's going on, guys? We're live on location here from Running Up Reno. First time out here right now, joining your one, AK Chicago Joey. Welcome back, guys. We started doing podcasts again last week. We had a couple really great podcasts. We had Andrew Nemi on Monday, Stefan Sondheimer Wednesday, and then we had my man Garrett Adelstein on Thursday, which a lot of people are raving about, getting a lot of really good feedback and messages for that. All the podcasts are on iTunes. Search Poker Life or link in the description below as well, too. Those will be updated as well today. So all those podcasts will go up there. And tomorrow we're having on the Supreme Leader, Doug Polk. Next Monday, we're having on number one GPI player, Alex Foxen, as well as Chance Corneth on Wednesday. We're doing a chip leader coaching week next week. And we have a couple other guests coming up week after. Lex Veldhouse Razzie is going to be on the podcast. He'll be back in the house. And a couple other people coming on. So it's gonna be a good time. But joining me today on the podcast is somebody who I think if you watch Live at the Bike or if you watch any poker on YouTube, you'll have seen a hand this young gentleman has played at some point in time. He takes it to the streets, battles pretty hard against somebody like a Garrett Adelstein, like a Matt Berkey, and Andy, a number of other regulars out there as well, too. He is a long-time businessman, been in business over 30 years. Specializing in the real estate world since what, 2007, Nick? 2007 real estate?
2004 is my real estate, yeah.
And 2004?
Yep.
So when you guys hear about the businessmen who love to play poker and like to play high stakes, Nick Vertucci is that guy that you guys are talking about. So I'm excited to finally have him on, learn more about him, learn more about his past as well, too. So welcome officially to the podcast, Nick. How's it going, brother?
I'm excited to be here. I'm doing really, really good, man. Thank you.
Yeah, we've been talking about making this happen there for a few months, but I was kind of retired from the podcast, and but now we're back getting after it, man. So
you got too many followers, and people enjoy this. Like, you take little breaks, but definitely don't retire. Don't retire. Don't hang up the jersey and then have to come back and pick a new number. Just space it out because they need you.
Well, I appreciate that. That's kind of I go through spurts. I've been doing this for about almost 5 years now, so it's kind of. Sometimes you do it for a few years and then you say, okay, well, take a little break, something like that. So
totally.
I guess let's do a little like kind of introduction for people out there, because I think a lot of the guests I have on, people tend to be more familiar with. But if you don't watch Live at the Bike, they're not going to be super familiar with you. And even if people do watch Live at the Bike, they're going to know you as the guy that looks angry with the sick fucking beard going on there. So why don't you give like the little, maybe like a minute kind of introduction just on yourself for people out there who don't know much about you.
Well, it's pretty simple guy. I always claim that I'm a K through 12 educated guy who paid my dues in Hard Knocks. I initially was going to try to fit into the box and do the whole college thing, and I lasted about a quarter, and I bailed out. And at 22, I started my own business. It was a tech business. Long story how that started, doesn't matter. Humped that for a lot of years. Wanted to be a cop early on in my years, and so as I went on the business, I wound up also getting my certifications and becoming a cop for about almost 20 years, 18 years, in conjunction with being a business owner. Tech business crashed, evolved into going to a real estate class, a 3-day class I got invited to, and then I took that to a different level. I started investing, created a cash flow system. Again, I'm giving you the real abridged version. If you wanna target anything,
we'll get into it for sure.
Yeah. And then had a little run-in with a partner and somebody I had an agreement with, and kind of got circumvented in my business, which catapulted me into the training aspect of what I'm doing. And now I've been doing that for 5 years plus. And that's it. Married 26 years, 3 girls. Pretty simple guy, and obviously my passion is poker. I love it. I think I'm at the point in my life now, at my age, where you just said something about your podcast, like you do it, you love it, but there's a certain point where you can get kind of burned out, and then when you come back to it, you may love it again, that type of thing. So for me, I love my business. I love being an entrepreneur. I'm still going strong at it. But I got to be honest with you, I have more of a passion for playing poker and doing those things now than I do all the other stuff, because I've been there and done all those other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been doing a lot of that. I probably play 2 or 3 times a week, actually, in some cases, just because I can. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, it seems like kind of my impression from seeing things from the outside is that you're someone that really loves playing poker, passionate about playing poker. You're trying to get better. You like to do battle. You like the competitiveness. You like the test. You like to have a good time. Like it just seems like you're very. I'm always wondering. I'm always curious about the guys who were businessmen for a very long time, and then they find poker, and then it just seems like they get enthralled with the community, with the game, with the competitiveness of everything like that, and then they start kind of dedicating themselves to poker to try to get better.
Yeah, and there's some different versions of, like you say, businessmen or people that play, not on a full-time basis. Obviously, it's always about the money because you want to win. But for me, I've always just had a really competitive nature. So if I'm going to do something, I need to figure out how to keep doing it better, or it's no fun to me. Like, I don't want to go there, although I could probably afford it. I don't just want to show up, drink, have a good time, splash around. If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. For me, like, and it is about the dollars. No one likes to lose money, no matter how much you have or don't have. Like, I always just have always respected, because I didn't have any and I didn't come from anything. So I always have a high respect for money, and I don't take it lightly. But for me, if I play bad or I don't do well, whatever, when I leave, I'm really pissed off. Like, I'm like thinking the next time, how do I change that? How do I get better? For me, just to go to have fun isn't fun to me. I'm having fun, but I want to compete, and I want to always get better, or it's just useless to me. So,
What are the main games that you're playing right now?
well, on Tuesdays at Live at the Bike, we play this 5-5 AntiGame, which doesn't sound like much, but it probably plays like a 10-20-40, or maybe a 25-50. I mean, I could just tell you, you can lose $30,000 or $40,000 in the game, and you can win 20 or 30 or 40. So it plays big, and the nice thing about that game is it has this illusion. Most players, especially if you play with like non-high stakes professional pros that really are like a Garrett who is looking for the highest game he could find ever. That's great, and I understand why he does, and he should. But you have other guys that are intimidated by that. But it's funny, because they don't want to take 40 grand and put it on the table, but they'll take $2,000 to $5,000 bullets until they get to 40 grand because they're comfortable doing that. So the game plays bigger than it is, and than it looks, and you got a lot of guys, putting a lot of cash on the table. So I play that game. Of course, I play the Friday game with Garrett and Art and Andy and all these other folks, and Gall and all these guys you mentioned. I've been playing that for a year and a half or so. That can range from 25-50 to 51-1, 51-2, 2-400 we've played before. It just really depends who we have and what everyone's feeling at the time, and to keep the game going.
Are you playing any of the home games as well too regularly?
No, I did that for a little while. I'm not comfortable in home games, to be honest with you. I just the handful that I've played in, I see ghosts in those games. Like, sometimes if you get coolered, I'm wondering, why am I getting coolered? I don't know if you don't know the people like really close that are putting them on. I'm just not comfortable there. And a lot of home games, they like to mix music, girls, and poker. And I like all those things, but I like them separately. And so me, for home games, are distracting to me. You know what I mean? I prefer being in a casino.
Yeah, some people are saying we got a little echo. I think that might be on Nick's end. Do you have any headphones, Nick?
Shit, man.
I texted Clint and I asked him if he had any of the Apple ones.
Okay, Apple. I know. Let me look in my.
Or you can try lowering the volume a bit too.
Okay, let me lower the volume then. Let me do that. Is that better?
Let me see here. Test. Yeah, that sounds better. Yeah.
Is that better? Okay, perfect. Yeah. I'll do that. Because let me tell you something. Even if I had headphones, I wouldn't know how to make them work with this. Listen, let me tell you something. Even though I owned a technology business, I had to have one of my production guys come in here and set this up. I couldn't have got on this thing talking to you right now if my life depended on it. So it's for me to put a headset on and figure out for you to hear me is nearly impossible.
I'm gonna take the other side of that bet. I will happily bet that if I said I'm gonna murder you right now, you'll find a way to make this work.
Yeah, I would get out here and make 5 guys come in here and do it for me. So I'll still fix it, but I don't know if I can do it myself.
Yeah, kind of talking about the home game things. When you see these home games out there, they got the massage girls and the lingerie, they got the drugs flowing around allegedly, something like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a very good mixture for somebody that's trying to actually win money at poker, and with the high rake as well too, with the potential of getting cheated or marked cards or colluding and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know the players. I don't know who's colluding. I don't know the dealer. You go into the bathroom to take a leak, someone's doing a line. It's just not my jam,
Yeah. Luckily, it is a lot of people out there's jam. So I think
totally. And again, I don't begrudge it. I think everyone should just do what works for them.
Yeah. Kind of thinking. Yeah, thinking about Yeah, there's still a little bit of echo. Let me see. Can you lower it a little more, or it might just be
Sure.
mine?
Let me just lower it, and hopefully I can hear you.
Yeah, I know, guys. We're live, guys. Sometimes we have a little
How about
technical
now?
difficulties.
Because I can barely hear you. It's the lowest I could go.
Test, test, test.
Is it an echo where they're hearing everything twice type thing?
Kind of, yeah. I think
Shit.
it's like a little bit of lag on my end or your end, probably.
Okay, so should I call my guy or?
Yeah, let's see if we can get Clinton here, get some headphones, and that'll probably fix the issue.
All right. Well, hey, we probably should have gone on and did this early because I told you
It's all good.
I'm half a
Usually we don't have much echo, but it could be because I'm on the Wi-Fi here in the hotel room. It's actually internet's not bad up here. But yeah, if you guys are watching this back a week from now, just fast forward about like 1 minute, 2 minutes, or something like that. So
Yeah. Hey, Clint. So we're getting a little echo on Joey's podcast, and he's asking me if I have headphones.
You do. They're on the other side of the screens.
So I just pick them up. These here.
Yeah. Those, I don't know. They're
But how do I get him to hear me on this shit? What do I do?
I don't know. I have to come
Yeah.
over.
You got to come over, man.
All right. Keep going.
All right, bro.
we all need a Clint out there, guys. This is the perks of having a young man like Clint.
Yeah. So he's a beast. He looks like a Viking when he comes in here. He's about 20 feet tall, beard. Will crush you with just one hand type guy. So
Sounds like
I don't know how. Yeah, this doesn't work. This isn't working. So whatever.
it's all right. Clint.
I do have Apple AirPods. I think I have them in my bag. I don't know. Hang on.
Okay. Shout out to Clint out there, guys. Yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in live. We're going to be doing a lot of the podcast about the same time, 3 p.m. Eastern time.
So I have those, but I don't know what to do with them.
Let's see when Clint comes back in here. We'll see what we can do. We'll make it work. But yeah, I guess kind of thinking about your own poker play on Live at the Bike. Why do you decide to play on the stream so consistently? Are you afraid of like giving too much information away to some of the better players, or is it something that you just enjoy playing and want to get yourself out there and get more exposure in poker?
I'll answer that in 2 seconds.
Okay.
As soon as Clint just walked in.
Let's see this bad boy.
Hey, Clint, come in. Show these. I told him you're like 80 feet tall and you look like a Viking. Here, get down.
Uh-oh.
There he is.
What's up, Clint? Clint, you're the technical guru over here.
Yeah. So let's slide in real quick, Nick.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, Clint, in the settings at the top of the Hangout, you can change the input for the microphone and for the speaker as well too. So you'll hear it in the headphones.
How does that sound?
It sounds. Talk one more time.
1 2 1 2 testing 1 2.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay,
That's
good.
way better.
Shit, dude. Just like that, huh?
You're set.
Just like that, baby. All right. Who's your daddy? Does that sound better to the people out there?
We will find out.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so why do I play on the stream? Okay, I'll answer that. I got invited to play on there a 1.5 years ago. Never heard of the stream. Prior to that, I've always was playing mainly at the Commerce Casino, the highest stakes games there. I really don't even remember how I got invited, and I don't know. It just was a good time, and I got to know those guys as I started playing, so it was nice to just every Friday, Tuesday, same guys, kind of fun. I always get a seat because I'm a mark and I do a lot of talking. So, if you're a donkey and you talk a lot, you get a seat, right? So, those factors. So it's just been one of those things, man. It just worked out. I do play off stream. Like there's times where, on the weekends we'll get in the VIP room, we'll play at the Bike, or, I'll play at the Commerce one other day a week. So I'm moving around.
How does it make you feel when you think about the idea of being the mark or being the spot in the game?
Well, I think it's like this. I think, when I first started playing on the stream, it was a whole different story for me, especially in the Friday game. I had no sea legs in that game, and it was real obvious, and they probably couldn't wait for me to be in the game. They probably still like me in the game, but I probably will say I'm a little harder to deal with now because I've been playing a little better, and I've learned the game in the last 2.5 way more. And when you play at that level, and people always ask me like some of the guys in the Tuesday game and everything else, like why do you play in that game? Like why? Like you got Garrett, you got Art, like there's nobody's giving anything away. Like, why are you there? If anyone's going to give anything away, it's probably be you. And my answer is, like, honestly, the reason if I've gotten any better, it's because I've played in that game.
Right.
And you just got to take the reps, like felt time, and taking the reps and playing against the best players expands your thinking. I studied the videos, and I'm like, and so for me, it's been worth every second and all the pain, because I literally can go and hop in these other games now, and I'm probably playing a little bit above the other rims, right? Because I'm playing with the best, and so that's really why, man. I do it. I don't shy away. I see a lot of pros, and I don't blame them, because they're picking games, and they're picking the softest games they can. And believe me, when you have to do that, I get it. But for me, I like being in tough games. I like being in challenging games because I like challenging myself, and I really enjoy it. It's the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of people don't do that because they can't afford to handle the losses that come with playing against players that are significantly better than them.
Sure. Yeah, of course. And like I say, I don't think I'm the same player that I'm going to come in there and it's going to be a free lunch anymore. But at the same time, I'm still very aware of who's who and who I am, and everything else. But that'll just be 2 years from now. If I talk to you again, I hope I could say I'm even in a different place than there. Right? I think you're always striving to just get better.
Yeah, I think I was talking with Garrett on the podcast last week about my observation of your play from just my perspective. And you can definitely tell that you're picking up things by watching some other players play, with the sizings that they use, with some of the ranges that they decide to use those sizings with. I still think from my perspective, obviously maybe get a little better at understanding those spots and those sizes too. But it seems like you're on a pretty great track. And from when you first started playing to where you're at now, I think players maybe went after you a little bit more before, but I don't get that sense now as much as I did before.
No, I don't think so.
I think the progress is pretty evident to anyone that's a regular watcher of the show.
Yeah, and I worked a lot on sizing and bet sizing, and I know I got criticized for that with the Berkey hand and a few things. But I'll just tell you, man. Like, here's the other thing too, and poker is so subjective, and it's just it's so. I don't know what the word is, but what I mean by that is, like, from each game, like, yeah, I know you got to be careful with your sizing, and I know you got to have a rhyme and a reason, and someone that's really good at being really consistent would be someone like an Art. Okay, like Garrett is, I think, one of the best players at the table, and he understands sizing for sure, but Garrett is the overbet king, and he's got other things, and he's chucking and jiving, so his game's a lot different than an Art's. Both good, but both different. But point is, what I'm trying to make is, like, for each game I'm in, when I'm playing a game with Garrett, I'm thinking different things when I'm betting than I am if I'm in a hand with Art, and I'm thinking different things than if I'm in a hand with Andy. And so my sizing does change, and sometimes to some people watching it doesn't make sense, because if you just GTO it, like, you should be sizing 3 times this, and all the standard shit we could get into, but there's controlling a pot when you're trying to control a pot when you're in a hand with Garrett. I know Art, when he's betting a certain way now, what sometimes it means. You can't say always know what it means, but so I just think it's hard to put a hat on that subject when you're watching someone, because I am taking into consideration who I'm playing against. If I'm playing in the Tuesday game, how my sizing is there, who the player is. I did something on Tuesday, not this Tuesday, but last Tuesday, and I took a beating in the 10-10 game or whatever it was. It was not that big of a game, but I lost a shitload. But my point is, I made a couple moves in there that, if they worked, it's a whole different story. But the reason I did them is because I knew one of the players that I was playing against was playing way over his fucking head. And so the way I pushed that hand was different than I would in a different situation. And I almost got him to lay down a set, like, literally thinking about it, right? So I had a flush draw, but whatever. And it was a 3-way hand. But my point being is, so I think that plays a lot into it versus just your standard GTO. Like, I understand sizing, like, I get it, but it just has to change in the game you're playing and who you're playing against and what you're thinking, in my opinion.
No, yeah, I mean, I think that's how a lot of people approach poker. I guess the downside of that strategy, which becomes more of an issue when you play with better players longer term, is that to you it's like, I'm approaching this differently, that differently, and it's really hard to really kind of balance that whole entire game plan out. And what happens is that you start to give away things that you don't even realize you're giving away, because
Sure.
in your mind you're like, okay, again, that's this person, I'm sort of going to approach like this. Against this person, I'm approaching it like that. And the better players who have a lot of experience, they are locked in paying attention to these things,
Sure.
and they pick up on something and like, okay, I see this here. So that's the worry that comes from using a strategy like that against better players. But against bad players, you're going to crush with that strategy. That's probably the optimal way to be playing against against
No, I get
players.
I get it. Makes sense. It sounds sound to me.
Yeah. I guess when you think about playing against someone like you mentioned, Garrett Adelsteinstein. Is it Garrett Adel?
It's Adelstein, but I'm so used to calling him Adelstein, but it's Stein.
I've been calling Garrett Adelstein for like over 5 years. So
I really reject the Adelstein thing, but that is what his name is.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go that far. I don't want to call, but I'll call it Adelstein. But when you think about playing against the Garrett Adelstein, man, I mean, from our perspective at home, this looks like kind of fucking torture, because you never know what this guy's gonna do. You never know what sizing he's gonna have. Like the other day, I posted the hand on Instagram where you make the nut flush, the board's queen jack, I think 7-3 or something like that. You've got ace 8 hearts, he's got queen jack. River comes down the queen, the backdoor full house gets there. He checks. You bet a little over pot, 1,500 and a 1,400. He shoves all in for $20,000. You know, it's like when you play against a guy like that, from your perspective, what are you kind of thinking about, or what's going through your head?
Well, there's a lot I'm thinking about, and let me give Garrett props. And I'm a very honest person, so I'll always tell you what I think, and I don't just come on here to say something just to be nice. You'll probably get me in a bad position later to say something not nice. But with Garrett, to me, I think he's the toughest player to play against for the reasons you're just saying. His style can be a little bit crazy, and sometimes you could question it if you don't understand poker, because you think he might be a donkey. But the guy knows where he's at, and believe me, he makes a lot of mistakes too. But point is, and let's get back to my point, he's the hardest player I think I play against. And he's made me a better player. He's made me more creative. He's made me a better thinker. We joke, and I tell him he makes me feel alive, because usually every pot I'm in with him, my adrenaline is just pumping, because you're always being put to the test. So I appreciate playing against Garrett for the last year and a half, and most people want to stay away from him. But I think he's, and by the way, just a class act too. He's just the salt of the earth. He's a nice guy, and so it's hard to play. It's hard to play against Garrett, but I dig that.
Yeah, it seemed like so I posted a hand on my Instagram and on Twitter the other day. I kind of want to talk about that hand, actually. So if you guys didn't see this hand, Garrett raises under the gun, queen jack. Nick's on the button, ace 8 hearts. He flats pre-flop. Flop comes down, queen 7 deuce 2 hearts. Garrett checks, doesn't see bet. Nick bets. Garrett check calls. Turn jack of hearts, so flush gets there. Garrett checks. Nick bets a little under pot. Garrett check calls. River is the queen. So queen 7 deuce flop, turn jack. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. River queen. Garrett's got the nuts. He checks. Nick bets. Garrett shoves all in, and then Nick puts on one of the best monologues I've seen since Phil Lock on High Stakes Poker season 4, because he's talking to himself. He's like, "This mother, how the fuck can this guy be so?"
Listen,
let's kind of talk about that hand. So when he check raises all in, $20,000, you bet 1,500. That's a fucking huge bet for this game at that. Like, what's going through your mind? Obviously, we heard some of your thoughts, but kind of in retrospect, what are you thinking about there?
And again, when you're talking about poker and particular players, there's so much. But here's what's going through my head at the time. This is no bullshit when I say this. This guy is a great player. You heard me say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I say this doesn't take away from it. He's the luckiest player I've ever played against in my whole life. This guy runs good like he's got a horseshoe up his ass. Like he is out in other countries just putting shoes on children and being blessed for it. Like, I'm telling you, and against me, the river's going to come. If he needs a dry deuce to just cooler me, it's coming. I say that because I remember a hand like that. So when the board paired, I just thought to myself, here the fuck we go, right? Because this cat is so lucky. And then when he shoved on me, a few things are going through my mind. Okay. A week before or 2 weeks before, there was a conversation at the table that Garrett, and I remember this because I've been playing with him, Garrett used to make massive overbets when he didn't have it for this stretch of time. Then he adjusted, rightfully so, because now every time for the past few weeks after that, or sessions or whatever you want, when he made these big bets, he had it. So then we talked about it the week before, and he actually said, when I make these big bets, I know, like, I have it now. Like, he was being, I don't know if he's doing reversing, but it's true. And so when he did that, going through my head is, holy fuck, does he still have it? Like, are we still in that train of thought with this overbet? Or now does he remember that conversation and he's, you know what I mean? And so now I'm going, which one is it? And just honestly, for that hand right there, a couple of things that played into play is he's too lucky against me and in general against me, but against me specifically. And there's not enough value for me to call. It was my first hand, and my chips weren't out of my rack yet. Okay. My chips weren't even out of my rack, and he wanted the whole rack. He wanted 23K worth. That's what I bought in. And I just thought to myself, let him have the 3 or 4K or whatever I got invested in this thing. And if he bluffed me, congratulations, but I'm going to be stuck 23. I don't even have my chips out of the thing. And chances are I really think he had it. And then I asked him like something about if he'll show, and he never talks. I got him to smile, and then I got him to agree to it. And the second he said he'd show, I just snap folded, and he turned over Queen Jack. So.
Yeah, that was your celebration was epic there too, because he turns the hand over. You're like, yes, yeah. I mean, it's great.
You're the luckiest son of a bitch I ever met. I even said one time, and I think I hurt his feelings, because if you don't know this about Garrett, he's very sensitive. Like, not in a bad way, girl way. I'm just saying he's very sensitive. He cares. Like, we're friends. And at one point in there, I'm like, I hate him. I hate you, but I don't. But honestly, even after that, I tilted him a little. He's like, God, that was real. I said, dude, I don't hate you. Come on, man. I was just yapping. But it was a fun hand. And these are the type of things I'm saying. Like, I can't get in a situation like that with very many people, but he'll put you in it. And I kind of dig it. That's the thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Garrett got a little greedy that hand particularly, but.
Well, yeah, because he could have got 4 or 5K off me easy, a few K. Yeah. But the 20K was just was too much to ask. It was just too greedy.
Yeah, especially you mentioned first hand, your chips are still in the rack.
I would have had to slide my rack over. Like, they weren't out of my rack. It just pissed me off,
Lesson you guys out there in poker, sometimes you don't want to be greedy. Come on, you gotta be within fucking reason. You can't go shove it in 20 times the bet.
I think he kicked himself for that over. I think for the over bet, and I think he kicked himself for agreeing to show. That's my opinion. I don't think he was happy about it either. But, that's the type of thing, man. Garrett has said this a million times, so have I. Like, why the fuck did I do that? Like, after so many times, like, what was I thinking? Like, why did my hands put all those chips in? Like, what was my, like, so stupid, So you just do things, because, you're guessing a lot.
Yeah, I guess when you think about your own game and your involvement of your own game, where do you feel like the areas right now that you can improve on are?
Yeah. Gosh, probably everything. I would agree with you that I have to. I think where I have to improve on, because I've really studied the tapes. I've worked with somebody that's kind of taboo in this poker world, But I know, but so nobody even knows that, but I have, and I do. I'm a real gut player and a feel player, and like I said, who I'm playing against and certain things, how I'm running. I have to get better at the math. I know them, but I have to trust the mathematics a little more, and I don't want to ever play GTO, but I have to, like, on some of the sizing stuff, I think I have to give away less information on my sizing, so if someone isn't picking up what, like you mentioned, and be a little more disciplined that way. I need to talk when it's time to talk, and I need to shut the fuck up when it's time to shut the fuck up and not give anything away. I've gotten better at that. If I'm the one making a decision, I'm going to yap all day because I'm making the decision and no one's trying to get info on me. But I've worked on not engaging when I've made a bet or done something, and just tried to just go into lockdown and not give anything away, because I had a lot of things. When I was bluffing, I was taking longer to put the chips in. I picked up on that myself. When I was doing a few things, I was putting chips in very evenly when I was bluffing, and then when I had it, I would splash. So these are things I picked up as I watched myself, like on the stream, and then I didn't realize about myself. And I've had some people that I went to, and I'm like, what do you notice? And they're like, this is what I noticed. And I'm like, shit, you're right. So I'm always just, I could go on about a million things I can get better at, but I think if you ever get to a point where you're like, gosh, I really can't give you something, I think I'm pretty there. I think that's when you're done, when you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to poker, there's always a way, whether it's a actual fundamental at the table or a mindset away from the table or a
Yeah.
discipline that you need. There's always, I mean, for my game too, I've been playing now professionally since 2008, and there's still things I could get better at or be more disciplined at or have a better
Yeah.
understanding of too. So I don't think it's even, I think Garrett, Berkey, these guys, they're going to say the same exact thing. There's always a lot of room to keep getting better, especially as other players evolve and they get better. If you want to keep competing with them, you have to
Of
keep
course.
pushing yourself and
Well,
kind of get better.
sure. Well, think about poker back when you just named, you started 2000 what?
I started playing 2007, like professionally in 2008.
Okay, well, think about 2007 to 2019. It's a whole different game. If you're, I don't hold them. I mean, you know,
Crazy.
it's not the same game. These guys that sat there and waited for a certain range and played completely GTO, they can't win. They're going to get chewed up in a game with a bunch of creative pros. So you have to evolve your game big time. It's a different game than it was, and it will be 2 years from now.
Yeah, one thing I found very interesting that you said earlier, which I completely agree with, is that when you said when you play in the non-Friday game, the anti-game, where the players aren't as good as those guys on Friday,
Yeah.
you probably feel like you have an advantage over a lot of these guys now just because of that experience that you have battling against great players, constantly thinking, all right, what's going on here? What should I do here? And then when you go play with these other guys and you see how they're playing and their thoughts, you probably start picking up on a lot of things they're doing and you say, oh
Yeah.
fuck, I probably did something like that before. I know
Yeah.
what he's thinking. I'm
Yeah.
inside of his head. And I
Yeah.
imagine against those players, you're probably doing very well against those guys.
Yeah, so I want to say this very respectfully because, I hate when somebody puts a label on other people because I know a lot of people that do that in this industry. Let's put it this way. Yes, you're right. In the Tuesday game, we're playing at a lower level as far as skill and stacks and money and bankrolls and stuff. So a couple things there. Yes, the Friday game has made me a different player. And I do feel when I'm in that game that I am playing at least the best or one of the best at the table. And I never talk like that because I'm usually a self-deprecator. But there are a couple people even in the Tuesday game that are really good players, and I want to give them the due respect, whoever they may be. I'm not going to name names, but so also too. But you are right; it's a different game. It's a home game. I mean, these guys are showing each other their hands, they're sweating. And that's fine, and I adapt to that, and I'll show mine too because they're going to see it anyways, and I adapt to the landscape I'm in, and do those sorts of things too. But it's just a different game. You're right, like. There might be 2 or 3 players that when they do this, it means that. It doesn't mean anything else. It means that. And that's a flaw, right? And so you can take advantage of that, just like it was taking advantage of me for a while when I was still trying to, figure it out at the very beginning. And I had been playing a lot of years, but there's just levels. So yeah, I do feel that respectfully, and I've been doing very well. Now, the last couple sessions I didn't win in that game, but overall, I think the first 8 or 9 sessions that I played in the Tuesday game, I mean, I was like 10 to 25K wins like consecutively to where they were trying to kick me out of the game. We had one character, I won't even mention his name, he's not worth it, that really made a really big stink. And we had kind of bad blood because he literally led a whole campaign to try to call me a Friday guy and didn't want me to play in the Tuesday game. And I'm like, fucking free country. And I'm sitting in the Tuesday game. So either adapt to it and try to get better or, fucking figure it out yourself. So that happened. But the rest of the guys here, like these guys are Tuesday guys too. They're my friends. They're a great bunch of guys. I'll tell you what, I enjoy playing the Tuesday game more, not because it's easier. I enjoy playing more just because it's really a fun game and the guys are great. I'm friends with all the guys in the Friday game too, but it's more of a serious game. Like, you're not gonna, like, you throw an Andy into the Tuesday game, but he's adapting now. But you first put him in the Tuesday game and he wants to lose his mind when someone's showing the cards to someone else and they're not showing him. And he's getting pissed off, right? Because he's like, well, you don't do that, and I'm like, Andy, shh, they do that. Like, that's what happens here. Let that happen because you don't want people to get upset or angry and not want to play with you. And you know what I mean? So you just customer service, you know what I mean? So you want to see my hand? There's my hand. You know what I mean? No big deal. And so you kind of got to adapt to the surroundings. So I gave you a long-winded answer to say, yeah, I think the Friday game and all that experience has helped me immensely in all the other games. I mean, even when I go play at the Commerce, other things, it's a whole different feel for me now because I see the game differently than I did 3 years ago. I really do. Yeah.
I guess so. As you start to evolve, does that make you want to keep learning even more at this point?
It's insanely makes me want to learn more, because it's like anything else. Like, you're in a basketball game and you hit the first, 2 threes, and then you just go on a run. It's like it's addicting. You know what I mean? When you're doing better and you're learning. So no, for me, that's I'm all about that right now.
I mean, listen, I think that's a big advantage because I know a lot of poker players out there who they don't feel that way. Like you'd think everyone that plays poker would want to keep getting better, but
Yeah.
I know a lot of guys that don't really work at their game at all and they're not getting better and they wonder why they're not winning or why their results are stagnant, but it's because they're not working at their game and actively seeking out ways to get better.
Well, that's just like, you could take that to any profession, like, real estate investors. I'm in a whole sea of those for years. And when I get around other investors or students that I train, and the ones that are closed-minded and think they know it all, know-it-alls are, I'll tell you, it's a destructive personality, because know-it-alls usually don't know it all. And more know-it-alls, like in the investing, like I'll say to my students that I teach and stuff, you got a guy that you could put on Jeopardy. He could probably be the champ, has a lot of information, knows a lot, but I've never seen him turn it into dollars. So usually that kind of thinking will hurt you. It will not let you go to the next level. You will lose in poker. You will lose in investing. You will not have as much success. That's why I think you have to be open to the fact of, being able to take constructive criticism. Like we'll talk about that other touchy subject later. I could take constructive criticism, but because I really like that, because that's what I do when I talk to other players. Like I'm not like, well, no, to defend myself. I did that because I did that because I was stupid, and that was a mistake, and now I got to correct that mistake. And yeah, I think it's and a lot of poker pros, they don't want to get better because they hate playing poker. I hate to say it. They're like, you got a guy like Garrett who only plays maybe once or twice a week. He loves playing poker. You could tell in his vibe that he wants to be there. That's a good place to be. But if you're grinding and you're not winning, or you can't pay your bills and you have to be there, these guys are miserable. A lot of them, not all of them, but some of them. And I think that's why you can't win when you're like that. And how do you think you would invest more time to get better? But I think it's a vicious cycle the other way.
It's a great point. It's a great point, Nick. I also know a lot of people. I know a lot of people that fall into that. Why are we not, brother?
I don't know. That was you as soon as you moved.
Yeah. Got that autofocus. Let me take that off. But no, yeah, I know a lot of players that fall into that category who just they don't know what else to do. And you got to imagine, you've been playing poker professionally over 5-10 years now. For some people, you don't even know what else you can do. You don't understand. You don't know, even if you're making 75,000, 100,000 at poker, you might not know what else you can do to make that amount of money, that also have the lifestyle that you've had.
Yeah, you get trapped.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I mean, luckily for me, I sort of always had an idea where I wanted to start diversifying and I wanted to start doing other things. And I started doing podcasts, started doing content, working with companies, stuff like that. But I couldn't imagine. I know some guys that didn't do any of that stuff. And I talked to them and they asked me, what do you think I should do? And I try to tell them, if you're great at poker, you've got a lot of qualities and skills and abilities built up that can do other things. But start at the bottom in those other things. It's not another grind to get up there.
There's no free lunches. You usually start at the bottom everywhere you are. You gotta work for it. I get it. That's been my whole life.
Thinking about yourself and your own history with your business and with the ups and downs, challenges that come with that, what do you think some of the big things that you can take away from business that you can put into your poker game that have helped you sort of evolve your game and get better?
Well, I'll tell you this, two things, and I teach both of them and I'm not pitching anything. I'm just telling you, I teach how to invest in real estate. That's what I do now, and that's what my teams do. And you have to have two things I tell my students, and that is of course, you have to have the knowledge. You can't do anything without having the knowledge. You have to be trained, or figure out how to train yourself, or figure out how to always advance. Okay, so that's one. The other thing is, and I'm not a big, so people who with Anthony Robbins and self-help, okay, that's all good stuff. But when you just want to talk about business or turning that into dollars, I'm still a big believer that you have to, even at a poker table when you're running bad, once in a while I'll put a good wine on, and if I'm with Garrett, I wine a little more because it entertains him. But I really have to. I really believe in staying positive and having a positive mindset and the law of attraction in this sense. I don't believe that if you're in business or in life, if you're positive, a check like on The Secret, is going to show up in your mailbox. That's horse shit. But what I do believe is if you can work on your strongest muscle, which is your mind, and you can nurture that and you can make that a beast in anything that you do, then you're going to be able to overcome the hurdles, the obstacles in poker, the downturns or the suck outs, the river, whatever it is. And in a business, it's the same thing. You always have someone gunning for you. There's obstacles. So I believe you have to take that positive mindset, that making your strongest muscle, your mind, as strong as you can make it. But then you have to be able to put it into a knowledge-based vehicle. So this would be, in my case, real estate that I teach my students. So you have to be trained at the best. You have to know what you're doing, but you have to take that, because one without the other doesn't work. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you're a negative piece of shit, then nobody wants to work with you. If you're negative and you're always looking for the negative to happen, it's going to happen. So at the same time, you got to have that knowledge, and you got to have that positive mindset, being able to overcome things and be able to put it into that vehicle. And if that vehicle is poker, then you got to know more than anybody. You got to train more than anybody, and you got to be able to keep your mind strong, because a lot of poker players can play good for 8 hours, and then as soon as they get felted, or as soon as they have a downturn, they go on tilt, and then they make their situation 15 times worse, and you're just not going to be a winner. And that's the same thing in business. So if you have a bad run, don't compound it by 10 just because you're trying to, fix whatever you did. So I have a thing I say when I teach. You have to, whatever you're doing, you have to see it, because you have to see where you're going in business or in anything in life, because you have to visualize it. And if you don't, you don't know where you're going. Then you have to believe it. And that means you have to figure out a way to surround yourself with people that are going to help you believe it, train it, whatever it is. Then you have to map it, which means you have to have a sound plan where you're going of knowledge, and then you have to execute it, which means then you have to do something about it, or you don't have those other three. They're just a good thought or a dream. See it, believe it, map it, execute it. All pieces need to be done. So the long-winded answer, to try to shorten it up, is I just think in business, you have to be better than the other person and the other persons that are trying to do the same thing as you. You have to, in business, you have to service your customers. You have to have a better product, but you have to be able to take that idea and go execute it. And when you get punched in the face, you got to get back up, and you got to keep doing the same thing again and not give up. But most people are so fearful of failure and so fearful to not succeed that they will make a million excuses not to even try to see it, believe it, or have a plan, because it's easier to not do something and not fail than it is to do something and fail. Because most successful people, they have their success that speaks for themselves. And so you see their success, or you might see them on TV, or you might see them wherever. But what you don't see is the 15 times that they failed, or was said no to, or got slapped in the face, or lost all their money, or whatever it is. You don't see that. You see the success because it speaks for itself. But there is no successful person that didn't take their lumps. But most people aren't willing to take them, whether it's poker, business, anything else. That's why I was willing to, and I know I could afford it, but that's why I was willing to take my lumps in the Friday game, because I knew I didn't know it at first. I just sat down in the Friday game the first time because I got invited. I don't know what the hell I was in for. It was like you could have spun me around, kicked me in the ass, and threw me out. I had no clue what was going on. But once I started figuring it out, I figured out, okay, I'm staying here. I'm not leaving this game, but I'm going to figure out, when I sit down in this game at some point, they are not going to be able to just roll over me like they could when I first got. That was my goal. But then I had to, what did I have to do? I had to be able to see that, and know that I could do it. Then I had to figure out how to believe it. Then I had to map it, which was study tape, train with somebody, go over everything, think it out, be willing to know I just made that mistake and not make an excuse for it. And then I had to go back and I had to execute it. And so each time it gets a little better. That's it.
So when you're on this journey and that adversity does hit you, whether it's in business or whether it's in poker, what's the way that you regain yourself to not let yourself fall into some sort of rut for a week or a month or anything like that?
Well, here's what I do. There's something called pattern interruption. And pattern interruption is we all have something inside of us that we, even as little kids, or what we were told, what our experiences or failures are, and you start to create patterns of even internal, just what you think and feel of yourself, and thoughts. So we have thoughts, and then we process these thoughts, and it just depends what we do with them. So when I lost my technology business in 2000 and something, when it tanked and I lost it. I had to, here, let me just shorten that so I don't give you the whole thing. Bottom line is I have to sometimes take the negative that I feel either about a situation or about myself or the fear of that, and I got a pattern interrupted. So one thing that I did was when I got circumvented by two partners and was told that, you know, I wasn't needed in the business, and it was a long story. And when I started this training company, I was fearful of starting it because I thought, if I don't succeed at this, which is a really hard business to succeed in because it takes a lot of capital and there's a lot of upfront risk. So I was nervous to do that, not about the capital, because I've always done that before, taking risks, but I was nervous to fail because I didn't want those two guys to say, see, you can't make it on your own or do anything else. So I had to take that fear, I had to take that, I had to internalize it, I had to repattern that thought into a thing that I used to say to myself was, bullshit, I'm the best in this business, and bullshit, I'm going to be the best in this business and crush both of you along the way as I do it. But then I would lose that and I'd have to say it again, and I'd say it out loud. I'd put it in my head. I'd meet with people that had that same positive attitude. So it's just like at the poker table, you know, when Garrett hits the queen or hits the deuce on me, and, you know, I just put 40,000 in the pot, and now I'm stuck, you know, in the $1 million game, I'm stuck 50, 40, 60, you know, $1,000. I have to say to myself, okay, let me gather myself here. If this is the way it's going to be today, then this is the way it's going to be, because this happens. This isn't a reflection on anything that, you know, I'm not a good person or I deserve to lose or I'm never going to win. This has to do with this happened and I didn't do this and that didn't happen. Now gather yourself. You have a successful business. There are small percentage of people in this whole planet that can play in this game. You're one of them. So you are blessed. So think about that. I have kids, they love, you know, I go into all the positives that I have, and I get rid of that fear and I get rid of that negativity that I'm feeling for myself right then, or you want to feel sorry for yourself. And I just go, okay, don't tilt, focus. If you wind up losing another 40, that's because it's going to happen, but do the same thing that you're supposed to do, that you know you do, and don't start doing stupid things because you're on tilt. So it's that mindset to be able to gather yourself, because honestly, I rarely tilt. And that's the truth. Like, I'm known for losing early and then grinding my way back to a win, because I'll have that talk with myself in my head. There's once in a while, there was one time I did the stupidest couple things. It was the worst session I ever had at Live at the Bike. It was a Friday, and I fucking got up and left. I never do that. Like, you should be able to do that. But I did not have it in me that day to pattern interrupt, regroup, and get it on. I just was in a bad place. So I walked away from the situation and came back another day.
So it sounds like you're extremely mindful on a consistent basis if you're able to do that and recognize that at that sort of immediacy.
Yeah, I mean, and I've trained myself to do that and to catch it. You know, even in business, when things get tough, sometimes I start going in the tank, and then it'll be a couple days and I'm like, wait a minute, whoa, you've been in bigger pickles than this. Grow the fuck up, you know, and then just get back doing what you're doing. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, pick up your ball and go home and start a new business, or figure it out, or just make sure you don't lose everything along the way like you did the first time. Because I did that the first time. And I lost everything in business and then had to grind my way back. Yeah. Learn from mistakes. Hard knocks, dude. K through 12, you know, don't understand any of Berkey's tweets. They're over my head. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah, bro. 30 years. I mean, listen, 30 years in business, I'm sure along that way you learn ups, downs, lefts, rights. And I guess I want to ask about the coaching that you do, because you do a lot of coaching. You do a lot of is it one-on-one coaching you do, or is it all group? Because
both. So let me just say this, because a lot of people in the stream say this too, and they say my business is a scam. But for the last 30 years in this industry, real estate seminar business has been a hustle. It's a hustle. It has a black eye on it. I'm a product of it. And the people that troll on all over, they don't understand. I was a student in 2004 of the real estate seminar circuit. I went and was invited to a 3-day class. I spent a whole shitload of money I didn't have, and I got all this training. That's a longer story I won't bore you with. Then I became a real estate investor, made a ton more mistakes, and then grinded my way to a lot of success in real estate. Then I got circumvented in my cash flow business by the two fellows I told you about. And then I started my own training company. The difference between my training company, and everybody's going to tell you this, anytime someone's hustling you, they're going to tell you all good things about themselves. So don't expect anything different from me. The only difference is it's actually true. I've been in business 5 years in this business, and it has a shelf life of 2 years, because normally the brand and the name gets burnt out on the internet because of all the hustling that they do. And for me, I still have a stellar reputation. I took what I knew in real estate investing and what I knew about the training industry from being part of it as a victim or a student. And I reject victimhood. I just mean that was my path. And I created this training to teach people how to invest in real estate. And I tell my students, you're either going to pay your tuition out in the field trying to flip a property, making mistakes, or you're going to pay it in a classroom, or maybe both, because you still might make mistakes. What I do is I spend a whole shitload of money on marketing, radio, TV. Sometimes at night you might see me on an infomercial on your TV or a radio ad locally. If we're in, we go in all 50 states generally. In 3 a.m, I sneak up in your room and I'm like, come to my free event. That's me. But I spend a bunch of cash, I put it up front, and I try to get people to come for a week in a certain market for free classes, 2-hour classes, like I do like 10 or 12 of them in a week, 2-hour free events. Then at that 2-hour free event, we sell a 3-day class. So whoever buys that class, we send another team out. They come back 2 weeks later into that, and they teach them the 3-day class. At that 3-day class, I do sell a bus tour and I sell commercial training. It's like levels of college. You have an AA, a BA, a master's, a PhD. People think it's an upsell and it's just a hustle. It's not. You pay and you get what you pay for. If you pay, $500 for a 3-day class, you're going to get good information, but you're not going to get, when you spend the $30,000 or $40,000 you do in some of my packages, if you get all these other events and phone mentoring and all this other shit. And then we do one-on-one mentoring as well for the students that want to take it to that level, who have told themselves, I'm in. And so we send somebody to your house for 3 days and we train with you, we make offers, we do all that. So I'm a complete 100% real estate investing training company that has different levels of it. Where they get to me is the big event, 6-7 times a year. We do a 4-day bus tour and I will be the one to teach that. That's the big event.
So, because I've heard the comments you mentioned about the scam and this type of stuff. I've read a little bit about it, but so the scam is that it's a high price point and the value isn't there for the customers, or what's the scam exactly?
So the hustle, and it's not, I don't know if they go in trying to do this, but you charge a whole lot of money in the past, like they did for me. You do get the training, but you ever got a training where when you leave the training, you go, that was good, but what in the fuck do I do? Right? Like, I don't know what to do now. You know what I mean? So you have to teach people in a way that they can leave. They have an infrastructure. They have a community. They have a hotline that they could call and be able to get someone to talk to them about their deals. You have to have, like, we have a Facebook page for our high-end students that have like 6,000 people in it that have paid a lot of money to go through these events, but they're networking now. There's millions of dollars flowing through there where they're wholesaling properties to each other, they're joint venturing and partnering, they're getting information. So when you don't provide quality people, quality training, quality follow-up, and all these things that cost a shitload of money to run this the right way, then you have a broken system that you've charged a lot for getting a little, and then you have unhappy people. So the unhappy people come and say, wait a minute, I don't even know what to do. You won't even answer my call. I want my money back. Then they say, you're not getting your money back. And then they go and they report it and do what they're doing. And then they have their name on the internet becomes mud, because we live in a day and age, even sometimes, unfortunately, if it's not warranted, someone could really destroy you, right? So what your goal in business and anything, and even a podcast or whatever you do, is integrity is longevity. So if you want to come in and you want to hustle your way through something and make a ton of cash and you want your name to be mud and then you want to go and like hide, fine. Great business model if you're that guy. But if you want to have longevity and you want to be able to be in business 5 years, 10 years, you want people to trust you and keep investing in you and keep believing in you, then you better do what you say, or you are not going to have the opportunity anymore to do that. So my whole goal in this business is to make every single student happy and accommodate them so they feel that way about me and they don't feel the opposite way. And that is very expensive to do, to build that infrastructure. So you could do it the one way the industry did it, or you could do it this way. But unfortunately, I'm in a business that has a black eye on it. So, immediately if I tell anyone that has any knowledge of this business that I'm in the real estate seminar business, you're a scammer. Yeah. And normally it doesn't bug me. Like, I just blow it off because they don't know. But every once in a while you catch me at the wrong time and you hit me with that, I want to just choke you to death, because I've put my life and soul into not being that, right? You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I mean, listen, that I see that I can only imagine how you feel, especially you're doing this day in, day out. You got thousands of customers. You've been, I mean, yeah, I can only imagine kind of that. But also at the same time, you can see where they're coming from too, and you kind of want to be defensive about it as well. But
that's their reality. Yeah, it's their perception. Perception is a big thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so. If you have 6,000 people in that group, man, I can see some people getting upset because they don't feel like they're getting enough quality time with the man who's in charge of the operation,
No,
yourself.
they don't, because I'm very honest with people and they know how the systems work. Like that's only 6,000 people that are in my top Facebook networking page. I have hundreds of thousands of people coming through at different levels. But even when I get in front of my top end students, they know that I can't mentor every one of them. They know I can't interact with every single one of them. So I have hotlines, I have emails, I have chat groups, I have all these things for people to reach out properly to get the support they need. If I was to pitch that it was going to be me, I would fail every single one of them and they wouldn't like me, because it's not going to happen.
How many employees do you have working for you right now in this company?
Between employees and subcontractors, which means I have teams out there who are, I have speakers and closers and teams and trainers and teachers and mentors. I don't know, 100, maybe 125. I don't know. I don't know, something like that. I don't have them counted up, but something in that area. Because we're, each week we're in 3 to 4 different cities doing numerous events for the free events, and then we are in numerous cities with more teams doing the 3-day classes we sold from 2 weeks before that. So I have, like 8-10 teams out at all times with 5-10 people on each team. And then I have my corporate office where I'm here in my office, but we maybe have 30 or 40 here, something like that. Call centers. Yeah.
How do you find the time for poker? It's that's kind of
Systems. If you're going to be in business, at first you're going to pound every nail probably and do all that stuff. But I have systems. So if I have a call center, I have a manager in the call center. If I have a corporate office, I have 2 or 3 people in there running it. I have an accounting department. I have team leads. I have a CFO. I have a CEO that runs my teams. What I do is this is the first time I've been in front of my desk and in front of the laptop, my desktop here. You asked me what computer I had. I go fucking desktop. I don't know what it is, because I don't even get on this thing. I work off my phone. If you leave out that door right there, this west wing of the office is a full man cave. I got couches and recliners and TVs and cigar humidors. I got out this way a patio that I smoke in. So for me, because at the stage of life, all I need to do is be able to communicate. If I could communicate with all these people with this right here, I'm good. And then, like I said, each 6 times a year for 4 days, I'll be here in California doing a 4-day bus tour, and that is something. Like, if you don't see me on a Friday here every 6 to 8 weeks, it's because I'm doing that event, or normally I'd be there. So I actually have a lot of time, because systems. If you build a business and you build systems, your business becomes worth more. It doesn't run without you, but it can run in lieu of you for a little while. You just have to keep your finger on the pulse and be the breath of the company. But hey, man, I don't want to pick up the phone and call people and tell them to come to the event. I don't want to go out and do this. I don't want to do the accounting. So I've created systems, and then I check the systems. And when something's broken, then I go focus on it, and then I get my ass back out of it because it's not my lane anyways. And I go focus on what I'm good at, which is just running the business. Yeah.
Do you feel
go ahead.
Do you feel like poker players could maybe have a system that's of their own for playing or for studying or for manage themselves as a professional? Sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think systems, I mean, if you're a poker player, I think you should dedicate a certain amount of hours to your knowledge and training. If you're a poker player, I think you should have a system like some do with their bankrolls and what games they play in, how long they play. I mean, I think systems are imperative in anything you do. I mean, for me, I keep track of everything. I have an app on my phone, and every time I play, I know how long I played, what I did. I keep notes in it, what my hourly win is, what my yearly win is or lose. And so I keep track of everything, because I always want to be really honest with myself.
Do you feel like you do a good job of being honest with yourself on a consistent basis?
I'm actually so hard on myself that could be one of my flaws. Like, I'm really hard on myself, and sometimes I expect too much. So I'm really honest with myself, because, at the end of the day, Joey, it's like this. You could bullshit everyone around you. You can bullshit all your peers. But at the end of the day, or when you're looking in the mirror, or 3 a.m. when you're alone in bed and you're thinking, if you're full of shit or not. And so I just don't ever want to be full of shit, where I'm just trying to bullshit myself to think I'm better than I am or whatever. So I'm very aware of my weaknesses. I have a ton of them, even in business. My strengths are communicating and dealing with people and building partnerships and relationships. And I'm a forward thinker. but I'm not good with math and numbers. And even in my investing career, I built teams around what my weaknesses were so I could make sure that I was covered in those areas. And then I just went and just hit the lanes of what I was good at, creating revenue. And then I had all these different people doing that other shit that I didn't even know how they did it. You know what I mean? It's just like, how do you add that? Like, how do you come up with that percent? I mean, my point is like, you have to be really self-aware and be honest with yourself if you want to be successful. In my opinion, that's just one component.
How do you feel like this pursuit of excellence when it comes to business has impacted something like your family life and your 3 daughters? Because I imagine it's a lot of sacrifice and a lot of selfishness and focusing on yourself and what you're doing with business. And I could see the family and the children, maybe that time not being as focused in.
God, I wish I could tell you that my grind was so grindful and that I just get sweat, blood, and tears. Like, when I've built these businesses, I probably worked harder than anyone you know. And I have a phrase that I'll work 80 hours a week, not to work 40, And, but a lot of businesses that I build, I'm able to put sometimes on a mini cruise control. And I saw not my business partner, but those 2 guys I told you that I had an issue with. One of them ran a seminar company. I was selling properties within that company. Long story short, I watched him ignore his family for almost 5 or 6 years and make his business his life versus his life. And he was a real narcissist, so he lost his wives, 2 wives, families, all that. But my daughters are so important to me that I've never neglected them for business ever. If they call, I hang up with who I'm talking to. If they need me, I'm at that appointment. If they have a field day, I cancel my appointments and I go to their stuff when they're older now, but when they're growing up. So I never neglected them. Now, there are things I don't do, and it's not because of business, but like, I'm not a traveler. So if my wife and girls want to go somewhere, they go. I'll go on 1 vacation a year, maybe, and I'm miserable when I'm there because I'm just not it's just not my thing. So I'm a little different that way, but no, I don't want to even paint the picture that I've sacrificed because I'm such a businessman and I've grinded. Like, I've worked very hard for the past 30 something years being an entrepreneur, but I've never ignored that. I think honestly, I'm lucky there because some guys do and business people do, and then later in their life, they regret that. I have been there through every single step or breath of those little shits. So yeah. They're the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
They're older now, 20, 21, 18, and 14. So I'm pretty sick about it because, most people are like, wow, I can't wait till my kids get the hell out of here. Like, honestly, I'm depressed over it. Like, they're still all live at home for the time being, but I had an 18-year-old going to the University of Alabama. My 21-year-old's going to Biola. They're still home and they're really close family kids, but they're older now and they just want to go do, just like I did at 14, 18, and 21. I just want to go do my thing. I love my parents, but I want to get the hell out of there. That's where they are now. And they're not like grabbing you around the leg, just saying, go outside with me. And I'm just a sucker, man, because I miss that. So for me, it's kind of a bummer, Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to be an active part in their life for so many years, and then now they get to the point they're going to Alabama. I mean, Alabama's pretty far from Newport Beach. So
what the hell's going on? How'd that happen? Just a little while ago, I was playing kickball outside with you, and now you're going to Alabama. So it's a real head fuck, but it's the cycle of life, bro.
Damn, Alabama. That's you say your 18-year-old's going to Alabama? Yeah,
she graduates high school this year, and then after the summer, she's going to Alabama. My 21-year-old is staying close in California in Biola, so she'll be living at home. And then my 14-year-old, she just wants to be with her friends,
Yeah. You live in Newport Beach?
No, I have my home is in the city of Orange in Orange County. I have I have a beach house in Newport Beach.
Right. That's because I remember when you messaged me about Super Bowl, you said
yeah. So I have a place on the boardwalk on Newport Beach on the sand, and so we have that. But we live in Orange, and then I'm currently in Santa Ana in my business, in my office.
Mm. Yeah. How was that Super Bowl party? Was that fun?
It was pretty fun. Yeah, a lot of the guys from the it was really all poker players. We had a million prop. I had so many prop bets I didn't even know what they were. I just knew that I lost to Garrett again, and I paid him like $2,000. And we bet on everything. Like if Adam Levine would take his shirt off, at halftime, when he was dancing and singing, right? So we just there was like a million things. We had a good time. I had it catered. We had a bunch of food, and we all just sat there and drank, and it was good. It was fun.
We got Dan Zach in the chat. He says, "Say hi to Nick for me and say hi to Joey."
Oh, nice. I love Dan. Dan is moved away from us. He lives in where does he live now? Jersey or something? He followed his little girlie there. Tell him I said hi.
Yeah, Dan, I think, grew up in New Jersey. People said they want to see Dan on the pod, so I 100% am going to have Dan on the podcast very
Cool.
soon. He's
Yeah.
one of the people I want to have on because I talked to him on Live at the Bike Show. Love chatting with him, and
He's a sweetheart. He's a really good dude. Nothing but love for Dan.
I'm curious what he's playing right now because he was playing a lot of the high stakes live games in LA, and now he's back in New Jersey.
He's playing with his girlfriend Ivy. Doing, man?
Made too much money, huh? Made all the money, and now he's done. He retired.
Yeah. Took all the money from the wreck fish and retired.
We got a lot of people in the chat. We got my guy Wayne Chiang from Live at the Bike also out there as always. Big shout out to Wayne.
What's up, Wayne?
Always showing a lot of love. Jimmy Rustler, Landon, my mods in the chat, always holding it down. Harbs in the chat. Sasha's out there. Lauren Malvoy, Dean Nelson. What's up, guys? Joel Bradenberg.
Oh, these are all names that are in the chat at Live at the Bike. Lauren Malvoy. Yeah, I know. I see those all the time.
I feel like these guys must just live. They love the chat. They love the shows. They love the streams.
I mean,
okay, so I actually want to ask you a question about Live at the Bike, and you mentioned you're good at creating revenue. And my guy is really Ron. I don't want to forget Ron. I see Ron out there.
Yeah, Queen Deuce, baby.
Shout out to Ron. I can't see Queen Deuce without thinking about Ron now. So it is. I accept it. Yeah. But creating revenue. So Live at the Bike business, I feel like they're struggling to create some revenue. When you come in with your perspective and kind of can see things from your standpoint, what ways do you think that Live at the Bike could turn themselves into something that's making a little bit more money from a business standpoint?
I almost want to take the fifth on this for so many reasons.
You can do that if you want. It's okay.
Let me take.
I'm just curious because this is something that I think about sometimes for Ryan and the guys over there at Live.
Yeah, no, Ryan and I have had a lot of talks about this. I'm going to take the fifth on this.
Okay.
Yeah, I never do that a lot, but I just have a purpose for that. I just look, man. Yeah, I have a lot. I do think there's a lot of meat on the bone being left there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense, especially when you're people that come from poker. I mean, I think about myself, and when it comes to business, I'm a complete fish. I'm great at poker and great at being able to make money at poker, but when it comes to being able to, I guess, think about it from a business perspective, and for me, it's kind of been a challenge for me too. So
I have many thoughts on it, but I'll talk to you offline about them. That
sounds cool. Why don't
it's
we
weird for me because I answer everything, so just trust me on this one.
It's all good. Why don't we talk about why don't we get into one subject I know that you're fired up about too, and that's my boy Big Bet Matt Berkey, the Alpha Reg over here. So you and Burke. So I guess I don't know when this got started. Was it was it after the time you guys played that hand where you 3-bet and he said you only have aces or kings or something like that, or what's the situation between you and Matt?
Okay, so can I have a disclaimer first? I'm going to do a disclaimer, and then I'm going to let you know that is going to be the most passive-aggressive answer you've ever gotten in your life.
Okay, we'll see about that.
Yeah, well, it'll be up there. Okay, but the disclaimer is this. The disclaimer is Matt thinks that I want to talk about him every chance I get. He tweeted yesterday with a video. This is the video. You liked it or you commented on it. This is the video Nick has every chance he can to shred me on, whatever. Listen, I've never proactively brought up Matt Berkey. Matt Berkey people ask me about that hand. They ask me about him, and they ask me about the Twitter wars. So the disclaimer is that I think if Matt and I got off on a different foot or two, we'd probably be fine. He seems like a really fine chap. Okay, and I'm sure he's a wonderful person, and I can see that. I wish we got off on the right foot, but the problem is we didn't. And I'm a fighter, and so I fight back when I think something's horseshit. I wish I could be a Garrett Adelstein and take the high road on questions and answer you for 20 minutes and maybe not give you the exact answer. I'm going to give you the answer though, because that is my style. But just know that it's not that I want to talk about it. It's because even when I call in for my normal Monday thing, Wayne and JJ asked me about the hand. They asked me about the Twitter thing they saw, and so I discussed it. So it wasn't me focusing on Matt Berkey to bring up every chance I could to shred him, but I'm going to be honest about some things I think. So how it started, which he won't even remember, and this wasn't a thing that got started, but I remember it, before the big hand that I donk folded with the aces, we played in another stream, and this is just something I remember. He won't remember it, I don't think, and I won't even break down the hand. Matt Berkey has no respect for me. So Matt Berkey doesn't have any respect for me or my poker game, and so that comes out in his words, and that's fine too because everyone has an ability to have their own opinion. But when I got in a hand with him, he had aces. He slow played him. He let me catch up. I beat him out of a hand with 2 pair king queen, and he mumbled some things to me and under his breath about, you know, how I could do this and how I can do that and how stupid I was. But he mumbled it, and I'm like, you know, whatever. And so we didn't really say anything to each other. But the thing is obviously he thinks, you know, I because I'm a donkey, I got lucky. But it was because he slow played his aces that I caught up. But we can, again, these are poker debates that you could have, right? Okay. So that's the first thing that I just thought kind of shitty, you know, because I'm not a full-time player, and, you know, he obviously has no respect for me, so he wouldn't say that to Garrett. So he would say, and, you know, and Garrett could do the same thing, and it would be genius. So Garrett can make a bet into him when I had the hand I had, and it would be genius because Garrett's thinking in everyone's mind 3 levels above. I do it. It's because I'm a wreck. Right. Okay. So that's the thing that usually, like, whatever. Right. So that's the first thing. No big deal. We didn't even have words. It's just he said it. I noticed it. I'm like, fuck, in my head, whatever. So now we get into the $1 million game. I won't even get into whether I think it's right or wrong. He won the hand. I should have called. Maybe I shouldn't have. Tough call was 50,000. I didn't. In retrospect, I should have. There's a million, whatever. And a lot of things Matt said about the hand are true. But one of the things I don't like what he said, and because I voiced this, is that you could, first of all, it's like this. You can never fault somebody for losing in a poker game. You could be the best player and you could lose 10 times in a row. That's just the way poker is. So when I say this, but it's just like, I just feel Matt respectfully wants so badly to be recognized as the top in the poker profession, or one of the, you know, who names himself Alpha Reg? I mean, he cares. You know what I mean? Like, he cares. Okay. So he won that hand, but when he broke it down, you know, when you break down and say somebody basically is a donkey, that they're playing their hand face up and they have no game and no range, and you just think that's it. He only played with me twice. I know he didn't watch any tape, and that's his opinion, and it shouldn't matter to me, but I just, you know, I thought it was a little pompous, and so it came out that I did or something. So we kind of had a little war on somewhere, and he actually made a video. So he made 15 videos, so it was his highlight, even though I lost, you know, 200K in that game, but that was like a big deal. So he was enjoying it, right? And he should, because that's what he does. He trains, he markets, and it was like a big hand for him. Cool. And he made another video that he broke it down really nicely. And I can't say that I actually could agree or really disagree with anything he said. I just didn't care for some of the things else he said. And then he hit me a couple times on Twitter when I was responding to something, and it just went downhill from there. How it went downhill from there again, and I feel this is more on him than me, is, you know, Marley, right? So she is really funny, and she's very crude. And so Marley is a guy. Like, she's not a girl's girl you're going to offend, and her posts they're pretty out there, right? And I know her. I don't know her well. I met her once, but we don't know each other. But she commentated in the game I was in, so I know her, you know, that way. And so she said something on the thing, and then the last thing was about buy-ins, like fucking for buy-ins. And I typed something that said, do you need a buy-in, with my hand up like this, right? And that's just, I know, but that's my personality, right? But she could care less, right? So Berkey, you're getting all red. So Berkey responds with ooh or something. But there was 20 other comments that were worse than mine, but there was no comment from him. But clearly he doesn't like me, so he hit me a little bit, right? And I just said, like, it's a joke, man. Like, you can a little humor, whatever. He goes, yeah, jokes are fine, but you got to be funny. So he hit me back, you know, like that it wasn't funny. And then hit me with a bunch of other stuff about whatever. And then I went back and forth with him. And I finally just said, hey, dude, quit white knighting. If you want to ask her out, just DM her, call her. But don't try to don't try to attack me because you want to be the white knight here. Leave me alone. Like, could you please just leave me alone, and then we won't do this anymore? And then he stopped. And then I DM'd Marlene. I'm like, did I offend you? She's like, fuck no. Like, this is so stupid, you guys. And I'm like, I know. Okay, good. Thanks. I'm glad I didn't. So this thing has evolved into this because I'm not a quiet guy. And when you do that, I'll say something, and it went back and forth. I really regret it all because I really don't want an enemy with Matt Berkey. I know he could give two shits about me. I know he doesn't care for friends. I know we never will be. And I probably feel the same way about him. But we're both probably really nice guys, but we just keep getting off on the wrong foot. And now it's evolving to, we just, like, he didn't like me, and I really don't like him. You know what I mean? And so, and I don't really get him. And we're two really different people. And I'll give you an example. I've been dying to read this because it's just funnier and shit to me. So if you can give me the latitude, like, it's just, this is how, like, I know we'll never be on the same page. I'm going to read this to you. What's lost in the debate between theory and exploits is that we're talking about two sides of the same coin. We're really debating theory optimal application versus exploitive application, not understanding that the latter is a product of the impossible nature of the former. What the fuck does that mean? Okay? That's my question to you. What the fuck does that mean? And how, you know what I mean? So, like, I don't know. We're like, fuck is that? So that's one of his tweets. So we're obviously two different guys. I couldn't fucking figure that out if I had Google, 15 fucking wise men around me. And, you know, so he's just the intellectual type smoking a pipe. And I'm the fucking K through 12 guy that's going to fucking type on there. You need a fucking buy-in. You know what I mean? So I guess we just are different, man. But I will. So that's the passive aggressive part, right? Because I'm saying all this shit about him. And then I'm saying, you know, he's probably a nice guy. If he wants to make a truce, I'll never mention his name again. Just leave me the fuck alone. So here we are. I'm sure he's going to watch it. Matt, smoke your pipe, figure out and solve for why, and just leave me alone. And I'll leave you alone too. And great hand, great bluff. You win. You won. Let's stop it. Okay? If I tweet something, don't respond. I'll do the same to you. I'm not going to try to figure out what the fuck that means. Leave me alone too. You know, so that's what I have to say. I'm Joey. There you go. It doesn't get better at this, does it?
Well, I mean, listen, I like Matt a lot.
I know. I know. No,
Yeah.
listen, he's your buddy, but you asked me what this is about.
That's true. I agree. I mean, that's what we. That's true. I agree, and I did see the thing when Marley put that tweet up there. You made the comment. He came back. I know Matt and Marley are good friends as well too. So I understand where he's coming from too as well.
Yeah.
You know, I know Sasha maybe understands where Matt's coming from with that reply as well too, sort of thing like that. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's but I can understand.
I really wasn't like there was no buy-in. It's a joke. You know what I mean? Like there is no buy-in. Like I don't have a buy-in for her. Like I know that her tweet was a joke, mine was a joke. So I guess what I'm saying is I think here's what it is. There's a term that's called, if like an old Italian term, like if someone hair wiggles. If you like somebody, they could make a comment like that and it's funny. If you don't like somebody and they make a comment like that, it's not funny. That's what it really comes down to. What I think we should just do is just leave each other alone. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Probably.
Like, yeah, like maybe just leave each other alone. Yeah. You know, so
I mean, I kind, you know, everyone loves a feud. Everyone loves the drama.
That's the thing. That's why you asked me about it. That's why Wayne and JJ asked me about it. I don't call them and say, hey, I got something to say about Matt. They asked me about the hand. They actually had some other things to say about it themselves, where they thought that his analogy on how it broke down was ridiculous, that you go into a hand knowing you're going to try to knock someone off aces may be a flawed theory long term. So point is, that was them saying that, right? And I maybe agree with that. But point is I've never proactively once tried to like have a feud with him. It was a big hand. People talk about it. He was very proud of it. And so this has evolved into this. Like I joke and I read his tweet, whatever. Listen, he's a very intelligent guy. This is the passive aggressive thing. He's a very intelligent guy. And I honestly mean he's probably a nice guy. I really don't want to have a feud with him. Now, if you really don't want to have a feud with him, what I should have done is just take the fifth. But how boring would your podcast be if I didn't answer all your questions? I mean, I already deflected one of them.
Maybe I need a podcast feud with somebody out there. Maybe I'm gonna. I don't know who else I can have a feud with.
I could tell I made you very uncomfortable because I know Matt's your buddy. Listen, he should be. You're not saying anything about him. I'm just answering your question. You can even defend him if you want. I don't even care. Like,
you know, whenever we talked about learning from experience, I've learned from experience on the podcast about topics like this. If I respond some way, then someone gets upset at me too. So especially with someone I'm friends with and stuff like that. So it's,
I got it. And so you asked the question, I answered you. I'm making a public declaration.
When are we seeing stop? Yeah, when are we seeing a heads up battle between you two? I'm ready for it. So guess what? Somebody on when I got the bike asked me that, or someone asked me that, and I didn't bring it up, but on the stream 2 Tuesdays ago, someone asked me about that because everyone sees these tweets, okay? And here's my answer to that. Never in a million years, and all the poker community will say that it would be because that I would be afraid to do that. The reason I would never in a million years is I've told someone this recently. I think I said this to JJ and Wayne. I think I said it somewhere. I play poker because I love playing and I enjoy it. The last thing I want to do is be at a table with somebody that doesn't like me, that because they don't like me, I probably am not crazy about them, and to sit there and want to beat them worse than I want to beat someone else,
and have this thing inside of me where like I'm just not comfortable because I just don't like that person or they don't like me. So for me, it's not about that. And I know that would be the most amazing thing for people to watch. I had one other player that that didn't want me to play in the Tuesday game, and I alluded to that. And we had a thing, and it became a big thing, and everyone was saying, and he started saying heads up, heads up. I wouldn't do it. I have as much cash as I possibly need to do that with him. It would be probably profitable maybe for me to do that, in my opinion. I'm not saying with Matt, but I'm saying with this. And I just won't do it because I want to put myself in positions that I want to enjoy myself. I don't want to be around people I don't like.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do it. And that would be a situation for that. And I don't want to have a swinging dick competition with him. I actually wish it would just go away. That's the truth. If he wants it to go away, I have it go away. If I could see him and we could just like make up, but maybe not really be friends, but just make up, I would do that. I really. But if he hits me again, I'll probably say something again because it's just my personality. It really is. It's a flaw.
Well, I mean, listen,
it's a flaw of mine.
I'm sure I would say something too. People don't really say things to me, but if they did, I would troll the fuck out of them back. You know, so it's I can't.
That's just how I feel about it. You know, like I just feel like trolling back. So, but honestly, after the troll's over and we go back 15 times. I kind of do feel yucky, and that happens to me every time, you know, and so I wish I didn't do it, but it's like that, I just can't, sometimes you just got to put the chips in and you can't control yourself and you hate yourself after. It's like one of those things, you know, but I honestly passively now will say he's probably a really nice guy, and I know that you know he is because you're friends, and honestly, if we got off on the right foot, we may not be friends, but we might have been good, but we just didn't.
Well, I know I personally have a heads up challenge coming up in May. So I'll be playing some heads up.
With?
Well, he's a young man. His name's Phil Galifond. He plays Potlum in Omaha, the great game. He's one of the greatest PLO players of all time. So I'm at a disadvantage, Nick, but I'm ready for the challenge. So
well, that's good. That's a fun challenge.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a fun challenge. I am very excited about that. If you guys haven't heard that, me and Phil are gonna play heads up on Run It Once. We're gonna do some sort of challenge against each other, and we're gonna stream it. We're gonna do some content about it.
Yeah.
I want to keep that positive mindset that I have, that I'm gonna come out on top. But obviously, Phil has taught me everything I know about Potlum and Omaha in a lot of ways through his videos. So
I wish you the best of luck. Either way, it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. So let's give some. You want to you have any shout outs you want to give, Nick? You want to say what's up to somebody out there?
No, I can't think of anything. I wasn't prepared for that.
No shout out. Well, let me shout out to people in the chat here, man. We got tree pokers out there. Well, Galfond versus Ingram televised. I don't think so. I think we're gonna stream it though, but it won't be on Poker Go or anything like that. I don't think. What else we got out there? Alan Lee, double suited. Check Race Charles. What's up, Check Race Charles? What's happening, brother? Digital Fox, my guy. What's up, Fox? What's happening, man? Always appreciate the support and all the posts you do on 2+2 for me, of course, man. Dr. Handjob. I don't know, whatever. My man Mark, the Dutch 4141. What's up, buddy? Nice to see you, man. Hope things are going well with you. Marcus Sticky, Poker, Harley, Final Table, boy. Loan for Cards, Cold Rummer. What's up, guys? What's happening, man? Arid, I don't know how to say that name. Eridim, Andrew Rivers, Calm Proto, Thin Crust. What's up, guys? What's happening, man? If you guys have some questions out there and you have any topics that you want to curious about Nick from, let me know, man, because I think you've kind of heard exactly the knowledge that Nick has, and it's a lot different than most poker players have. So I feel like some people out there might have some topics or questions, and kind of thinking about things from your perspective now, where you're at in life with yourself. Do you have some sort of goals or places that you'd like to get to with yourself when it comes to business or when it comes to poker?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
I completely tuned your ass out. I thought you were talking. I thought you were talking to your giving shout outs. Say it one more time, and I will answer your question. I was reading my text, and I thought you were giving shout outs. I swear. Go one more time.
Okay. All right. So when you think about yourself and where you're at right now in your life, what do you have goals for your poker or for business that you're trying to get to still?
Okay. So I just I thought you were saying like if you have questions like for Nick, I thought that's what you're saying.
I feel you.
So no, I got it now. I got this. All right. So the answer to that is this. So I'm not a spring chicken like you. Okay. So I've been around a while. Right. I don't know if you know how old I am.
How old are you?
I look really good for how old I am. No, I'm just kidding. I'm 53.
53?
Yeah, I'm 53. So I'm an old guy. So that's why it plays into this answer. So, I don't want to, I'm not saying I accomplished everything I want to accomplish. I think that's sometimes an answer that's like, I accomplished everything. Okay, no, I'm still got a lot of fight in this dog, and I still love business, and I'm still going to be doing a lot of things. But I was having this conversation with my assistant the other day, and she was asking me, why don't you, along with your training, start selling all the properties you used to sell again? I used to sell these cash flow turnkey properties to investors and students and do all this in my past life before my training company. And why didn't you do that, too, and create more revenue and this? Because I could probably do that. I could bring that property thing in and put make a couple $1 million in my sleep doing that, because I've done that. I had a radio show. I used to promote my properties and the whole thing. I did that for years. And my answer to her is like, I just don't have, like, I did that. Like, I've done that. And I'm at the stage in my life where, like, I want to do what I want to do. And I have a lot of things that I want to do in the poker world that I'm marinating on, that business wise, and just things with my game. And I just want to do the things that make me happy now. I'm at that stage in my life where I could go and pump harder and harder and double what I'm doing and do this. And I know, because I know how to do it. But I did that. Like when I was in my 20s, 30s, and even early 40s, like you just have that in you. You want to go out and earn and create and just dominate, be the best. And like, that's how I've always been. And so I'll still, what I'm doing, want to do that. Hence poker. Like I want to try to be as good as I can, and I'm going to work at it hard. And in my business, I never take my finger off the pulse. I'm still working this. But man, I'm really trying to figure that out right now, the answer to your question, because I don't want to get myself in another, 5-year, 7-year grind and do that. But I also never am going to be stagnant. I don't think I'll ever retire per se. Like when someone says, I just dream of the day I could go sit in a boat and throw a line out in the water. I don't even care if there's bait on the hook. Dude, I'm going to bring my pistol with me and cap myself if that's what it comes to, because I would be so miserable doing that. Like I need to keep going and creating and doing things. But I'm giving you a really confusing answer to say, I don't know. But I'm trying to figure that out right now, because this poker thing is a real passion of mine, and I'm gonna figure out what level I'm gonna take this and what I'm gonna do with it. If I'm gonna create any businesses around it, because I really love it, And I will tell you this: I was lucky enough to start a couple businesses, like the tech business. I never loved tech, but I was in the right place, right time. I was blessed. Real estate investing, I really loved it at first, and I love this training company. But there's this passion for poker that I have is just something I really love. And I will tell people this, if they're listening: do what you love. Even if you have to go invest in real estate to make money, to go paint if you're a painter. But whatever you do what you love, because if you do it long enough and with enough passion, the money will follow. That's just something that's always been the case. Do what you love, I see guys, no offense to them, because I respect hard work. I respect the grind. I respect taking care of your family. I respect blue collar. Don't read into this wrong. But I see guys that are a shell of their self, sitting on the 5 freeway and the 91 freeway out here on the way to LA, driving 2 hours to work, humping some bullshit hack job that they hate, driving another 3 hours back, just cramming down a few bites, maybe give the old lady the old, once or twice a week, and then that's it. And then that's it, right? Like, and they get to go on that one vacation, you know what I'm saying? And I just think there's so much more out there for people. And I just, we're so accustomed, society wants to put us like in a box. That's why everyone told me, Nick, go to college, like do this. And I'm like, fuck, okay, and so I sign up and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? Not that there's nothing wrong with education. I admire it. I think it's amazing if someone has great, but for me, I knew that wasn't my path. So I finally said, time out. I left a really high paying job that I was doing. I left college. I left the whole thing to go and start this little memory chip company. And everyone told me I was an absolute nut job. When I left my tech business that was failing and I went to go become a real estate investor and take all these classes, everybody told me, you're doing the wrong thing. Do this. How could you do that? You have a family, you have kids. What do you think and that's why I wrote, and I'm not promoting this because I make no money on it at all, but I wrote a book called 7-Figure Decisions. And in that book, I talk about this, and I'm like, not everyone fits into the same box, man. And so if you're supposed to be doing something else, especially if you're young, like you're not married, right?
Not yet.
Oh God, you lucky fucker. All right. So you're not married. You don't have kids. If you have something you want to do it now. Like, because it's harder to do it later when you have those responsibilities. But man, this is the time to like go do it. And even if you got to flop on someone's couch, for a year or two until you get it up and you got your own, whatever. Like, now's the time to go do that. And I just tell people that, if you got something out there that really is something you think you need to be doing, man, go do it. And, take calculated risks. I'm not saying go and just throw everything away, because you got to take calculated risks. But I just don't love the whole system of falling into place where you're told to do it. I just went on a rant.
A little bit.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry, bro.
I love it. I mean, listen, they start here, they go here, they zig here a little bit. I'm following here. I'm keeping up with
I'm just happy to be off the Berkey subject. I feel really bad about that now. That's my nature. Now I'm just like, fuck, why can't you just shut up, So my apologies to you if I put you in a bad spot on that one.
No, it's okay. It happens.
Right.
It's not. Listen, my guy Doug Polk's on the podcast tomorrow. I'm sure he's going to put me in a spot or two with some of the comments he might have to say.
I love that guy. I love that he does that. He's very honest in his videos and the shit he does. And I know he doesn't have a lot. He's got a few people that don't really like him for it, but he's usually pretty spot on. He sometimes goes a little too far, but he's a pretty funny guy, man. Pretty funny guy.
I kind of want to follow, because you mentioned that you're not really sure, what you want to do and poker business wise, and you don't want to fall into something that's a 5 or 7 year type plan and be stuck to that. So do you feel like that sort of eats at you on a daily basis or a weekly basis, where you put pressure on yourself to find an answer to that question? Or do you think sort of how you have things set up now is just you really enjoy your life?
Well, no, it's both. I'm going to give you a really confusing answer. I'm in a stage of my life that I'm on cruise control, which is a nice thing. And most people work their whole life so they can be on cruise control, because I could just be on cruise control. I own enough property, like I'm good. Right. But I am at a stage of my life where my kids are leaving. I feel a little bit like I'm kind of rudderless a little bit. Like, it's weird, because from the outside, you got a business, you got this, you got money, all these different things. But now I feel less challenged. And so a lot of that's good, because it's good to kind of, take a break and enjoy what you built. But at the same time, I'm getting a little restless, and I'm at a stage of my life where it's a little different than it was 5 or 10 years ago. And it's fucking with me a little bit too, because I want to find some passion again, something that really excites me to go after, and I'm going to find it. I just got to figure out what it is. And I'm really good at doing that. And I'm really hard on myself too. So I feel like I've kind of cruised a little too long here without doing that. And I feel a little, I don't know what the word is, a little flat, but I'm conscious of it. So because I'm conscious of it, I'm going to figure out what I'm going to redirect. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to keep doing my real estate, business, and it's profitable and, all that nonsense, whatever. But I'm getting less and less fulfilled by some of those things too. So there's going to be a new, NV 2.0 coming out here soon. I just don't know what that's going to be yet. But when I figure it out, I'll let you know. And it's going to be real soon.
Do you think that'll be something that's poker related, or do you think that might be more tech or real estate, kind of along the lines?
It's not going to be tech or real estate.
It
could be poker. I don't know. Could be, but it's going to be something. I'm going to create something. I'm going to figure it out. I don't know what that is yet. I have no set plan. Don't read into that. There's no read between the lines. But I'll figure something out. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait. I'm excited to see what you figure out.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure you know as soon as I figure it out.
That's cool, man. I'm sure it if it's poker related, definitely going to support it. If it's something else related,
yeah,
I'll support it too. I might not know what it is, but I got to learn. I'll find out what it is.
Cool.
So
yeah, you will.
That sounds cool, man.
Yeah.
A couple of questions here in the chat. Mark Rubin, yo, Joey, can you ask Nick any advice about the business world and how a poker player could get more involved in some sort of business?
Well, that's a real macro question,
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? It's a great question. I get it. If you're a poker player, how you get in well, and this is going to be just shotgunning this answer. Maybe, and not from me, I'm not soliciting you, maybe learn how to invest in real estate, because in real estate investing, if you have a little capital and some connections, you can do that. If you put 4 hours a week in it or 40, it's going to give out to you what you put in it, but more lucratively than if you go punch a clock. If you have enough cash, and I'm not saying he does or doesn't, but if he does, a lot of times people will buy franchises because they are plug and play. So you can buy a franchise if you have the capital. Again, if you don't, that's a different story. But a lot of business people that don't want to work their business, because that's what franchises are known for. They have a corporate office, they help you, they set everything up, and you put people in the building, and you serve sandwiches at Subway, or you do whatever that may be. So that's a revenue stream where you don't have to go and just create it from dust. Because really the fact is unless Mark already knows what it is he wants to do in the lane, it's too vague. It's creating a business from scratch is a hump sometimes. And sometimes you do have to have more time, if you don't have the time because you're grinding at poker every day to pay your bills, that becomes a little bit of a challenge. So that's why, if you can, people learn how to wholesale properties. That doesn't even take any cash. It just takes a little knowledge. Go get the training from somebody. No, I'm not soliciting you. Go do it somewhere else, but whatever, and learn how to do that. You could do that from your own house, sitting in your boxers on your computer. You can find properties, lock them up, and assign them to other people who want to flip them, and they pay you a fee. That wholesaling real estate is a very easy, quick, non-capital taking adventure, but you have to know how to do it, and then you will have to put in the time to figure out how to learn that. So these are just quick things that I can think of off the top of my head, but definitely you should have another iron in the oven, right? Like, no doubt about it. I mean, multiple streams of income. If you're a poker player, I think you should have some kind of working business, or you should have some other kind of multiple stream of income, because being trapped into something that has so many variables to it it's a tough thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tell you, I give a lot of credit to poker players that are out there doing it successfully, not only paying their bills but doing it successfully. I think personally, between me and you, I think it's a small percentage. I don't think it's a high percentage as people say. I just think that poker players, their personalities are resilient. They go bust, they figure it out, they get more. They have backers. Some players, right, whoever they may be, and that type of thing. So I think it's a tough grind. I give them all the respect in the world, but I think you should have other things going for sure. I wouldn't want to be in a position. Let's put it this way: I couldn't play in the beginning for the first 2 years in those Friday games, like you mentioned. If this was my living and I had a certain bankroll, I would be a fool to do that. I was able to do that and get that education and paid for it, and it's invaluable to me. But if you don't have the capital to do that, then you got to go grind the 5-10 or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, you mentioned you don't think it's a big amount of people that are successful at poker. Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean,
not the true term of success.
Right.
I'm not saying they're not winning or they might be scraping by, but if you really want to talk like what success is, I don't think there's a ton of them.
Yeah. What do you consider success at this point in time in your life?
As a poker player or in general?
As for yourself, yeah. What do you define as success?
Well, I mean, there's different layers of it. I mean, of course, there's financial success. Financial success is easily calculated. Right. Do you have enough money to live on it if nothing else ever happens in your life? Are you good? Or financial success is financial freedom, right? The financial trajectory of like how long you can live on what you have right now. Like, if I stopped right now, could I live? Could I live for the rest of my life? Could my money work for me? And you have to answer that. I think that's financial success. I don't think financial success is success, because I think some people are extremely wealthy and rich and they're miserable people, and they don't have success in their life. I think the important things in life are family and relationships. And if you have a faith, I have a faith. I wouldn't think it by the language I use, but I believe there's a creator. And so I think success is different than Garrett. I remember his thing on it, and I know I laughed about it because I'm going off on a tangent, but Garrett and I are the same in a lot of ways, but we are polar opposites politically, as far as religion, as far as like some things we think. And I know he said that I forget the words he used, you almost have to be stupid to believe in God, right? But I do. But I am stupid. So for me, I do believe in a creator, and I believe in Christ. And so, but back to your question. A lot of people are embarrassed and afraid to say that, especially today, right? Like that's like people are embarrassed to like make that claim, but I'm not. But with that said, success is just, I think, finding a way to be happy, like really be happy. But I also think that's a real grind. Like, you can be happy, but I think like anything else, you've got to work at it. Like, if you get stagnant, you can become unhappy. If you don't have real good relationships in your life that really are sound and where you can love someone, like, I don't think you have success. I think a lot of people are lonely too, but they have everything, but they don't have that. I think for the stars to line up perfectly, I don't think it ever happens to anyone perfectly ever. I think we're always trying to fight to get as close too perfect in line as we could with happiness, but I think it's a lifelong grind. Because life's a bitch, you know. You can have all the money in the world, but you can then get, you know, cancer. You could have all the money in the world and the loved one dies. You can have no money in the world and have great relationships, but you can't do anything with those people because all you're doing is working. It's a Rubik's Cube, bro.
That's a good way to put it, a Rubik's Cube.
Fucking Rubik's Cube, man. Yeah.
That's some, Yeah, I always think about that for myself. What is, I thought success was getting to high stakes poker or making a lot of money at poker, traveling the world, sort of things like that, and trying to become famous. And that's sort of what you're raised. I feel like in America, you're raised to be rich and famous and aspire to do those things like that.
But then what, right, Joe? Right? Because that's one side of the Rubik's Cube. Like you got them all yellow, okay? Really cool. But what about the other 5, 6 sides, whatever, Berkey? I don't know how many other sides are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever amount of sides there are. You know, you got to get them all. Well, because I don't know how many sides on a Rubik's Cube. Yeah, so you need someone smart. That's why I referred to Matt. So, but the point is, but because I don't know how many. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 6. So we figured it out together. I needed 2. So, but yeah, dude, I just screw around. The point is I just don't think you ever totally get them all lined up, and you're always trying to figure it out, because that is a form of success. When you're living the dream, right? You're wherever you said you are, and you're in a hotel room, and you're talking to someone, and you're doing a podcast, and you're playing, and you're going to be playing heads up against Phil, and like a lot of people will give their left nut to have what you have. But there might be pieces in there like you might want, right? Like you might want that wife that you just want to give up all your beautiful freedom for and go and do that. I don't know. Because then when you and then you go do that and you're like, fuck, you know what I mean? Like I can't be in that hotel room and playing Gelf on heads up because now I got this. But there's something to be said. Like I tell you, when I had my first daughter, holy shit. Like and anyone who tells you that before you have a kid, all it is words, and you go, yeah, I could see that. No, you can't. Like when you finally get that, you're like, oh my God, that's the nuts, right? But the nuts comes with a grind and a half, right? So then you got that. It just, I don't know, bro. It's people who are in relationships want to be out of them for freedom, and then we're out of them. They want to have connection and they want to be in them. We're never happy, dude. I'm just telling you that I think that's where it goes back. This will be over everyone's pay grade, and I'm going to stop here. But I think that's where it goes back, where I just don't think it ever gets there. I think there's I don't know. It's a grind, dude. They're never always perfectly lined up. And if they are, then they always go off a little bit one way or another, and you're always fighting to get them back.
Yeah, if they do get lined up, they don't stay lined up for long. Something happens.
No, enjoy it for that 4 minutes that they're lined up, and then, go try to figure out how to get them back again.
Yeah. We got a guy in here named Alan Key. I don't know if this is Uncle Abe. He said something about Uncle Abe folding ace king in the big blind to you yesterday. Why would he do that? And what's this about?
Yeah, that's not Uncle Abe. He wouldn't know how to get on this thing. He wouldn't. He just wouldn't know how. This is worse than me. He wouldn't know how to get online. But Uncle Abe is the sweetest person on Live at the Bike. He's a sweet man. But I'll give you 2 examples of what's frustrating about Abe, and because it's if you're like me, at the heart of it, I really am a nice guy. I say a lot of stupid shit, but like I really do. I really do care about people. Well, I joked with Abe. I raised whatever I raised in the hand last night with 4 or 5 suited, and which, by the way, I don't only raise with aces, and so I 3-bet or 2, whatever I bet, I don't know. And so I joked with Abe because Abe loves me. He brought me scotch. I've helped him when he didn't feel well at the table. If he goes short, I'm the one he's going to ask for, a lavender, right? So I have a relationship with him because I think he's a sweet man. Well, the thing that's bad about that is I want to play poker. I don't want to play a home game where we show each other our hand and we don't bet against each other. I want to play. And so Abe has a tendency, I'll give you another hand that I just wanted, so frustrated because I was losing and it was just horrible he did it, but he meant it out of the goodness of his heart. So last night I 3-bet him or did something, and I said, Abe, you don't want to take my money, throw it away. Just threw it around. Well, he didn't even look at his hand yet, and he looks at me like, you really want me to throw it away? I go, no, it's just fun talk. Please, play your hand. And he goes, no. You're right. I don't want to take your money. And he goes, I don't know what I have. And he turns over ace king, but he folded his hand. And I'm like, Abe, please play your hand. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do this. So the Tuesday before that, which is not mentioned, is I got 9-10 and he's got 9-6, I think. The flop comes 9-9 something. And I forget how the betting went, whatever. But at some point, like, he thought he was doing me a favor, and he goes and he shows me the 9. But on the turn, a 10 came, so I got 9s full of 10s, right? So I got him crushed. And I'm like, Abe, why are you showing me this? You've put me in the worst position ever. Please, guys, we've talked about this a million times. Like, I know you're doing it because he really likes me, and he doesn't care about the money, and he's just there to have fun. And he's so slow. He takes, I mean, it's just crazy. And so I'm like, now what do I do? Do I fucking raise? I can't raise him because I'm going to be the worst person on the planet and not tell him. And so I'm like, and I turn my hand over, I show him the nuts, and I'm like, okay, Abe, throw your hand away. Please, we need to make a deal between two friends. Don't ever show me your hand again. Even if you got me crushed and you have the absolute nuts and you're going to take every chip from me, do never turn your cards over to me again, because I don't want to be in this position with you. So I'm going to show you that I have you crushed. Throw your hand away and let's move on. But please, let's never do this again. But I can't say anything to him because even joking and I say, throw your hand away, you don't want to take my money. He threw his hand away and he had ace king. So he's just a sweet man.
Oh.
Yeah. But
that's
the Tuesday game. So that's what I'm saying. Like, those are the things I don't like about the Tuesday game.
So when you guys both had trips, so was it on the turn? We
both had trips on the flop, and he showed me the 9 on the turn when I filled up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a really weird spot to be in. Yeah, I'm not sure.
You know, what am I going to do? He did it out of kindness, and what am I going to do now? Stack him? So I just showed it to him, and I was frustrated because I was stuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you don't get, it only happens a couple times a session, right? So, but whatever. There's bigger things to worry about than taking Abe's money, so I just showed him.
Yeah, I don't know much about Abe. I've seen him in a few of the clips on Live with the Bikes YouTube.
He's a sweetheart. I think he smokes a lot. I think he has health issues. One weekend I seen him and he won, and he's very, very worried about what people think of him, and he won like $9,000 really quick on some weird hands that he just got lucky on. And then I seen his lips quivering and he was like not feeling well and his hands were shaking. And I'm like, Abe, you okay? And so I went behind him and I like rubbed his shoulders and I whispered to him, I said, do you need to go home or do you need something? And he's like, I don't want to leave. I won. Everyone's going to think I'm trying to leave. I said, get the fuck out of here. So we made sure we got him a ride home, the whole thing, I convinced him to leave. So I just kind of care for him, you know what I'm saying? But he's bad in the game for stuff like that because I really come to play. I don't come to eat, a sandwich and show each other hands and just check down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You don't want to be loosey goosey at the table eating a sandwich on your phone.
I don't mind doing that. I was refer more to a home game where everyone's friends and they're just checking down. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be friends with everyone and I enjoy everyone's company, but I want to play. I want you to take my money. Or try to, and I want to try to take yours. Like, that's what I'm playing for. I don't want you to show me the 9. Take my money if you have a better hand. So
yeah,
that was that.
I'm gonna go find this in video. I'm kind of curious to see the hand and see how it played out and
then I'll have like Ryan send you a clip because it wasn't even a premier hand or anything. You'd have to kind of grind for it in the Tuesdays.
Yeah. At what point in your life did you decide that it would be nice to grow out this beard that you have? Because all the pictures I can find of you on Google, you're a very clean shaven man. You look completely different.
Yeah.
And then you turned into the Terminator with the beard going on here.
So and all the tattoos that I didn't have.
Well, I didn't see the tattoos either. I'm wondering where those came from. But what was the decision to make this appearance change on such a drastic level for yourself?
The beard just kind of happened. I started to grow out a little bit and I started just kind of liking it. And I don't know. I just like the way I look better with the beard. You see, I'm always like doing this. It's just like, I just love having a beard and I never had one. Yeah. And in business, I maybe thought, for years better. And there's a whole thing like you trust people less if they have facial hair and all that nonsense. But I just never did. But even like for my tattoos, like I had this one for years. It's a tribal band, which people will say, oh, tribal band, but it's really the what the fuck is that called? Initials for my wife and my 3 girls. And so I had this and a couple that I could always cover with like a shirt. And then I had one up here. But what happened was on my left arm about, I don't know how many years ago, I snapped my bicep tendon. And you can't really see it now as much. You could see it in a shirt, like this arm fills out a shirt and this arm kind of hangs because my bicep goes up here now. Long story short, I got these tattoos coming down because there was such a divot in my arm, which filled out a little more since then, but such a divot that I hated it. So when I tattooed it up, you could see it less when I had all the tattoos on it. And so I just got those. And then I just got to a point in my life where I just don't give a shit like I did before of appearance, right? Like if I want it and I like it, you know, even in my business, like my first day on Friday when I teach the students at Bus Tour, I wear a long sleeve shirt the first day. And I got the beard now, so that's just the way it is now. But I'm like the first day, like I'll tell, and I get them to warm up to me, know me, like me, trust me. And then like I'm tell them on day 2, and I roll up my thing, I'm like, I'm breaking out like who I am. And I do the whole, these people have spent thousands of dollars, and I literally am in sweats and a t-shirt and a hat backwards. And that's how I teach my classes. Like, I don't play any games with people. I don't go up in suits. I don't want to play any game, you know, whatever. Here's who I am. Here's what I'm going to teach you. Here's who I want to be. Like, you're not going to get any bullshit from me. And honestly, it really plays really well. People like really want to be dealt with that way. That's a long answer of, I don't know. I just really like having a beard. And I think the shape of my face too, if I keep it really thin here and really big here, it makes it look a little longer because I don't have like, you know, the James Dean like chin and jaw chiseled, whatever. So I think it helps me out too, where I could kind of eat the sandwich and not have to eat like the vegetables and the chicken, and I can hide it a little more. Probably.
Little leftovers for later in the session. When
yeah. No, I could hide my face, like, so it's.
Oh, you can hide the face. Like you're trying
yeah. If I get fatter, I just get my beard bigger, and you just think it's beard and not my big face.
Listen, bro, I thought you just started playing poker and you fucking lost your mind. You're like, fuck this, I'm losing my beard.
I'm just kidding. You know, like when you get an 80-year-old person and they say whatever they want to say and do what they want, and you're just like, hey, they earned it. I'm just getting to that point in my life. If I want a beard, I'm gonna have a beard. If I want tats, I'm gonna have them. I don't care. So I don't know. I like it.
It's kind of like that. I just put up a tweet a few weeks ago about once you get like 60 or 70, you got to walk around the locker room gym naked with your nuts out and big swing.
And you just kind of get a pass for it. You know what I mean? You do it now, and there's a million things you can say about it, but you do it then, it's just like, yeah, you know, he's earned it. Let him fucking go. Are
you at that point in your life where you're ready to throw that towel over the shoulder instead of towel around your body?
That wouldn't be good for anybody, bro. Seriously, that's some kind of fucking penal code violation if I do it.
I would see that at the gym, and every time you go to the gym, you got the old man. He's like he's got the foot right here and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's bagging your face off while he's air drying. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, no. Not yet.
I just felt like they had some sort of it's like an older man agreement, unspoken bond they have when they hit 60 or 70.
Once they're at that age, there's like 70 plus, you have a pass to just be gross and say whatever you want to say.
You got any plans coming up here for World Series Poker? You gonna be out here?
I'm really bummed about it because one of my big events is right dad smack in the middle of the main event, and the only way I can play the main event is if I bust out, because my event comes, and I don't want to go in like thinking that I have to bust out. So, and then there's 2 other bigger ones. I can't remember now what they are, but they're right in that same time frame too, and they just overlap. So I don't even know if I'm going to get out there. I'm really not happy about it. I got to plan that better next year when we're doing our schedule, because I wanted to play the main again this year. I'm not going to make it. Yeah.
What about any cash game, anything like that?
Well, I might hop out there like I did last year before. I played a couple tournaments, Maine, one other one, and then I wound up playing for 5 days straight, just cash games there at the Rio. And I was just in Vegas a few weeks back. I played at the Bellagio. They had a great 10, 20, 40 with a 40 dead or in the middle too, and they were playing 7 dude. It was a really good game. I was just there for 2 days. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if the cash games are here at Running Up Reno, but I guess we'll find out. We got a bunch of vloggers are coming in this week, and we got a few people here that are here now. But it's an interesting event. You ever gone to any of these poker events, like a Running Up Reno or any of the tours, anything like that?
No, and the reason I don't do it, especially I don't know if this is a tournament.
There's tournaments here, a lot of tournaments.
Yeah, the tournaments are tough for me for 2 reasons. I've played a handful of them, and believe it or not, I played a couple tournaments of the Commerce years ago, and I made like a final table, and I had only played a handful of them. And the 2 things that are tough for me is the time they take for me to get to where I need to go, like, with kids or with business. It's like, fuck, I don't know if I got 5 days to commit to this thing in the middle of this week with this happening. And then if I'm being real honest with you, I get bored in tournaments.
Yeah.
Like I really sometimes get there and I'm like, what in the hell am I doing here? Because it's a whole different game. You got to play totally. And so I just haven't done it. I just enjoy playing really high stakes cash, to be honest with you. I'll play them again. I'll be there, but yeah.
Nick, most important question I'm going to ask you today. What about your prospects of playing the great game of Pot Limit Omaha? What do you think about that great game, the beautiful 4-card game?
Yeah. Last night, before we left the Tuesday game, we did a pot limit showdown for I forget the amount, and I couldn't tell you if I won the hand or if I didn't. And on honor, somebody pushed me the pot. It confuses the shit out of me. I'm just now figuring out 2 cards. But I will tell you, anyone who's ever played Hold'em and then goes and play pot limit can never go back. Like you can't go. I hear you can't go back. But for me to start that process sounds so daunting, and there's not as many games as there are the Hold'em games, right? So I don't want to go into Hold'em games being bored like I am in a tournament, because people who play pot limit go into Hold'em and they're like, I'm so fucking bored. I don't know what to do here, and all they want to do is play Omaha. So my long-winded answer is not anytime soon, and I don't know anything about it. And I can't play 1-2 anywhere in my life because I would be so bored, and I can't play 5-10. So the beating that I would have to take to even figure out the game on a fundamental level would just be like, I just don't know if I just want to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure I would get hooked on it because it sounds like that's how it happens. I know you are.
I certainly am hooked. I switched back in 2010, and I played some Hold'em since then, but it's all been PLO since then.
Yeah. Well, good for you, and I'm glad you're enjoying it. But for me right now, I'm gonna stick to the basics layman
I don't
game
know.
here.
I sometimes wish I stuck to Hold'em. I can't imagine what I'd be right now if I could play.
Probably true story too. Yeah, but hey, enjoy life, buddy.
Yeah, we're trying to out here. What else you got planned here coming up for poker wise, and or anything like that?
No, I don't have anything riveting. I just whatever the bike drops, and I'll be there. And I know the games on Friday are going to go a little smaller now because everyone's going to be at the bigger players. I think will be at the World Series a lot. So I know the bike is planning on dropping 2550s and some 10-10 AntiGames on Friday now, and mixing the Tuesday players with it, and et cetera, because a lot of the bigger hitters are going to be in the world at WSOP. So. But nothing riveting. I don't have any. I just play. They drop a game, I'm there. If not, I'll be at the Commerce playing. I'm just going to play. I just keep playing. Yeah.
Keep trying to get better. Keep studying. Keep working at your game.
I love it. Yeah, the whole thing. And every once in a while, I'll get in a mood where that's not my plan. I've done that once here, once there, where I just go and start getting really splashy, and but consciously, and drink a couple, 2, 3, 4 scotches, and just go fucking bang, just screwing around. I don't do that very often because that's fun for a minute, but I really enjoy really concentrating and trying to win.
Yeah, so. I do. I mean, I think when I go, I used to drink a little bit, but then I wasn't being as focused. I wasn't being as serious.
Yeah, I know when I do it that I'm just going to go and just let it roll and just have fun. Like I did that a couple times here, and it was fun for a minute, and then I go and I left. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't as fun as really trying to like do the get better. So I just can't be that guy. I can't be that business wreck who just wants to go drink and donk off a small percentage of their net worth, but just to go and whatever. It's just not fun for me.
What do you think about playing with a guy like a Randall Emmett? Very talkative at the table, very loud player, likes to get under your skin a little bit, likes to put money in the pot, that sort of thing like that.
How could you not love him in the game?
Yeah.
I mean, he's annoying as but Randall and I have come to kind of an understanding, and that is, what? I like playing with him. I'm not putting my foot in my mouth here. I learned from the first thing I just did with Matt. I'm good. He's great to have in the game. He's entertaining. He stays away from me verbally, but he's very hard on a lot of the other players. I mean, oh my God, I don't know if you watched one of the Tuesday or 2 of the Tuesday games he was playing, or a Thursday game. It was our birthday thing. We did a Randall Nick birthday live at the bike thing because we both had a birthday in the same week. This kid, Yosef, you know who that is? He plays in the Tuesday games. This poor fuck. Listen, he's such a nice kid, young. He's like beard, big kid. He's like 20-something. And Randall, for some reason, sees him as a verbal mark. And I'm telling you, and this kid takes it so good, But I'll tell you what, it's the funniest shit too. Randall berates this kid on a level that you have never seen in your life, and this kid like takes it. It's kind of their thing now. And I'm telling you, it was one of the and you almost feel bad laughing, but it's so funny but Randall just if you're not like someone that he like either respects as a person, a businessman, or like a Phil Hellmuth or Antonio, because those guys like to cater to him too because they love him in the game, he will berate you. Like he is just, that's it. But he's great for the game. He plays every hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I don't know, Randall, I don't know. I like him. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he came out. He messaged me. I played on Poker After Dark last week for the 2550 PLO, and he messaged me. He said he wanted.
I heard about that.
Yeah, so he came and played. He was talking up a storm to everyone at the table, and I mean, I played with him before. We talk a bunch, so it's not nothing I haven't seen before. But it's just if someone asked me a question like, how do you have to handle people like that when you play live? Like, is this what it's like? And so it's like sometimes, right? Like
that's what it's like sometimes.
That. There's players like that.
Poker tables, the landscape of poker tables could be anything at any time, and you have to be able to adapt to it. The frustrating thing about a guy like Randall is that 9 times out of 10, if mathematically in the stars line up, it's good, but if he runs hot, you could sit there, and if you're card dead against a guy like him, it's a frustrating evening because you got to be careful too because his range is everything. And so if you're card dead and you can't even capitalize on like an opportunity to play with a player that's wild like that, it can be very frustrating.
Yeah, it's definitely how I felt the other day playing with him at the PLO table. I just wasn't making any hands. Played every pot. Played a lot of pots. No hands. No hands. No hands. So
so it's whatever. But he's a character, and Randall's good for the game because people who watch streams, they don't want to watch 9 guys in hoodies with sunglasses thinking that the right thing to do is to say nothing because that's what a professional poker player does. That's so 2000 and whatever. It's just so boring. I can't stand being in games like that. Like I want to be in games where there's banter and there's talk, and it doesn't mean you're not taking it serious, you're not concentrating, but I hate the nitty young professional hoodie kids that sit there and think that's like what they saw on TV and that's what they're supposed to do. Like I do everything I can to just try to get under the skin of someone like that because it just bugs me. It bugs me.
Yeah. I can definitely understand that perspective and understand the professionals' perspective. They think that's what they need to do to win, and I don't know if it makes for good television or a good show. So
no, if you're promoting and producing a show, you got to be very careful who you put at the table because it could be real nothing burger, boring. 6 hours.
Yeah. Wayne Cooney in the chat says, "Talk yes, but belittling someone, hell no." Which
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Just so you know, I don't agree with 1 second of what Randall does. All I'm suggesting is that it's so over the top that almost like it's like watching a circus, like a freak show. And sometimes you laugh because you're like, I can't believe I just heard that. But I don't believe in that at all either. I'm berating people for how they play their hand, or if they're donkeys, or if you think they are, or why did they do this, or how could you play like that is the stupidest thing. Like, you know what? You be a big boy. If you're at a poker table and you put your money in whatever, and you lose it, and someone's doing something totally off, whatever, that's so what? First of all, you want that. Second of all, I just think it's just such a bad look to treat people like that. I really do.
Yeah, somebody. Yeah, we'll see what happens at Randall. I mean, he's kind of newer to poker right now, and still into it. So I don't know if he's going to be a long, I guess, pillar of the community, or if he's going to stick around for a while or anything like that. So
he knows he's trying to entertain people, and he knows there's a market for that, and the players like to have him in the games. That's all I can tell you. And if he continues to want to do that, he'll continue to get a seat.
Yeah, he might get involved in the poker business side of things one day too. But
yeah, you never know. He's an entrepreneur, so he could, sure.
Yeah, we'll kind of see what happens. We'll get a couple more questions from the chat, guys, and we'll probably end things here about the 2-hour mark here.
Okay.
Can you give us two piece, or is it 1 or 2? I think the normal question is 2. I have them at home, but 2 piece of life advice for people out there who might be watching that's something that they can implement or they can make an action today if they wanted to.
I think the mac, because it's a broad question. I think the macro thing is whether you're, and I said it earlier, whether you're trying to be successful in business or in life. My book is called Seven Figure Decisions: Having the Balls to Succeed, How to Succeed in Business and Life. I think the key to that is always go after what you love. I think to be successful in life, you have to have a positive mind game. You have to have a strong mind game in everything you do, in relationships and or in business. And the reason most people don't get into business or even certain relationships is because of fear. The fear of either rejection or the fear of failure or the fear of something. If you can overcome your internal, some people from young age were told they're nothing, or their parents didn't do what they're supposed to do, or maybe they just had a run of bad luck or whatever it is, and that type of thing. If you can overcome that fear and find a way to really work out your strongest muscle, which is your mind, and you can do that, I think you can accomplish anything that you want, to a degree. So I always tell people, you can't accomplish anything you want. If I wanted to be a professional basketball player, not going to happen. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Not built for it. Can't dunk. Can't touch the rim. Not going to happen. But so you got to be real about what your aspirations are. But if they're real and they're doable, and you put your mind to it, and you learn how to train this, and then you get the knowledge and the training of it, I would just say be able to know how to overcome fear and to go after and do the things you love, because you have one crack at it, one life. The society and the system tells you to do this, to live like this, to do that, to put this foot in front of that foot. Fine, if you want to do that, but I don't think so. I think we're all different, and we're all made to do different things. And I think, like I said, you got one crack at it. Live your life, not somebody else's, is how I'll end it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I think fear is something I definitely have, and I don't really realize it sometimes, but I think because I have success at certain things, but then I don't necessarily go for other things sometimes. And I think a lot of that stems from fear, is just fear of, I don't know. I think Perkins on the podcast a few years ago put it really well to me. And I never thought about it until that standpoint. Cause I'm like, I don't think I'm scared. I'm not scared to fail. I failed plenty at poker, but outside of poker, maybe not the same thing for me right now.
No, I get it. But just know this, that literally guys I have failed more times than I have succeeded in business. I'm not kidding. And people that you see that are very successful in business have more failures than they do success. And as I said earlier, the reason you don't know that is because success speaks for itself. Failures are hidden and they're not known. But most successful people have that. So if you go out and fail, but you try again, that is a success. I'm not trying to be corny, because at some point you're gonna hit it, whatever that is. But you got to keep going at it. But once we miss it a couple times, then we're reluctant. Because let's face it, if you go try something and everyone knows you're going to try it and then you don't do it, you're embarrassed. People get embarrassed. People get embarrassed to fail, and they're embarrassed of themselves to fail, and they're hard on themselves. And then, we justify it. We justify, I don't have enough time to do that, or it's for that person, or I don't have enough capital. Well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to do this many more podcasts. I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do that next year. Well, everyone does that because it's a protection mechanism, never to go and do it, because once you go to do it, it becomes real, and then you have to be accountable to it. So most people make excuses and justifications not to. That's where you got to wipe that out. You got to work on this. You got to have your plan. You got to see it, believe it, map it, and execute it. And you got to do it in that order. You have to see where you're going. Like, I'll tell you this, in business, in personal relationships and poker, I daydream. I wake up in the morning thinking what I want to accomplish that day. I go to bed thinking differently. I don't go to bed thinking those things, because you'll never sleep, because your mind won't stop. So I have a different process when I go to sleep of what I think of and how I shut my mind off. And then when I wake up, before I get up, if I have enough time, which I usually do now, I go through a bunch of steps of what I want to tell myself, what I want to think, what I want to believe, because the things you say and do today will become your tomorrow, whether they're positive or negative. Right. And so, these are just the steps that you got to keep going through if you want to accomplish them, because it's not easy. Accomplishing things isn't easy. There's very rarely do you make, some people create an invention and they or hit lotto. Okay, that happens once and whatever. But most people that are going to create a business or a lifestyle or financial freedom or whatever that is, you have to get up and put one foot in front of the other. And you usually don't find success right out of the gate. You have to keep doing it. Then all of a sudden, there's this thing where your belief system could be really low. And then you take an action. Right? When you get to the executed part, you take that action after you've prepared for it, saw it, believed it, and mapped it. You take that action. And then what happens is if you take an action enough, like I tell my real estate students, you're going to have some success. Something is going to break free, which is going to build your belief system, which is going to build something called momentum. And when the momentum gets built, your belief system goes up, then you take more reps. Then you take more, then you have more success, then your belief goes up more, then it goes up more, then you have momentum, and then you start to ride the wave of momentum, and then doors start opening, and you start really believing what you just saw and what you're executing, and then it just keeps evolving. And then it's up to you to keep that momentum going and not get stagnant and not fall back, because somewhere in here you're gonna eat a bowl of dick somewhere, and you're gonna make a mistake. You know what I mean? And so you got to remember that, and then you just got to keep taking those actions again, and then have more success. And then this bowl here that you just ate is going to be down here, and it's going to be in the rear view. So you just got to keep going, because nothing's ever going to be perfect, and you just got to keep moving. You just got to keep doing it. And those are the people that are. I'll tell you this: if you took the whole debate about rich, middle class, all this bullshit, if you took all the wealthy people in the world, the real successful people that have earned it, and you strip them all their wealth, I don't know the amount of time, and can't give you the statistics on it, but this is what I know. In a certain amount of time, those people will have their money back and more, and still be the wealthy and rich people, because it is something they have that the people that are in middle class or poor don't have. And that is a mentality to win, a mentality to keep going and to strive and to get to where they are. They didn't get there because they were lucky. They might have had some lucky breaks or capitalized on some lucky opportunities, but the other people didn't, because they had the same opportunities and the same door that was knocking and they didn't open. Those people will be back on top again in a certain amount of time. I'll tell you this: if you just let me keep this and you knocked me back to your age, I would have 15 times as much as I have right now, knowing what I know right now. How old are you?
33.
Oh my God. Fuck. I would trade. Okay, how about this? I would trade with you right now. You could be 53, I could be 33. I will trade every single thing I have, including everything, for just your age and this.
Yeah.
Fucking crush it, because it's not luck. Just telling you, it's not luck.
That's a good clip right there. I'm gonna have to clip that one. That's a good. We got some good clips in here from you, Nick. You're fired up, right, man. I love it.
Get rid of that other one. Get rid of that other one. Make that go away.
I love it, man. You're fired up. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of good stuff in here. I think anyone out there watching right now,
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff, a lot of things to take away, a lot of things to think about, a lot of ways to, I just the idea of kind of seeing it, mapping and executing it, that entire thing right there. I think that is.
See it, believe it, map it, execute it.
The believe it part. We got to remember the believe it part too.
See it, believe it. Yeah.
I love it, man. Let me find one more.
I'm going to send you a signed copy of my book. You just.
I was going to say I wrote the book down, and then I wrote down read the book in capital letters. So I'm like,
I'll send it to you. I'll send you your address. I'll overnight it to you.
Cool. I appreciate that, man.
All this shit's in there.
Thank you. That'd be nice. I was figure I go start reading it down today. I go downstairs and get out of the hotel room here, and not much Potlam Omaha runs up here, unfortunately. So
see, you put yourself in a bad spot there.
That's okay. I came here to kind of hang out with people and see people here. So what about a piece of poker advice, Nick? You got a piece of poker advice you can give people out there?
I got nothing riveting, and you probably don't want to take advice from me. There's many better players. I would just say, if you're going to play poker, the one thing I could just tell you is you're going to have to study the game, and you're going to have to put in the work. And you got to have table time. And if you're a tilter, you're not going to be successful. If you're a regular tilter, you're not going to be successful, because this game is brutal. Mm-hmm. I don't care how good you are; it's brutal. We all know, you know what I mean. So you got it. But what does that come back to? You got to have a strong mind game, right? So I think it just comes back to that, like in everything in life, because if you are a better player, or you are doing more of the right things, and you are making better decisions, over time, you're probably going to be a winner player. You're going to lose less when you lose. You're going to win when you win. You're going to minimize your losses. All that same bullshit you've heard a million times. So that's my only advice. And honestly, I probably would not want to take my advice if I were you.
I don't know. I think you can learn from anyone out there when it comes to getting better at poker and better at some aspect, whether it's fundamentally or theoretically, or mindset, anything like that. So
I tell you what, though, Garrett said something in 2 words. He said, "Nick's no picnic anymore." I don't know if he meant it. I think he did, because he rarely says. That was the best compliment I ever got in a long time, because he's a great player. He's one of the best out there. So that was a big compliment when he said that.
Yeah, I feel like he I don't know. I like to think Garrett's pretty straightforward and truthful in a lot of his answers when he talks about people. I'm sure he's also aware of what he's saying, and he doesn't, he probably doesn't want to cause any.
He's very political. Yeah, he would not answer some of the questions like I did. And honestly, he's smarter than I am. I respect him for that. It's probably the way to go. But that's just who I am.
Yeah, everyone's different though. I think what doesn't make one way better than the other way.
It's just who I can't help it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. If you want to listen to this back, if you just tuned in, you can watch it back on YouTube, watch it back on iTunes as well. I'll be posting some clips on my Twitter page, hopefully here. And we're back tomorrow. Doug Polk, same time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. If you want to follow Nick, are you active on anything besides Twitter? You're kind of active on there, but not too often.
Yeah, I'm not even active on there. My Twitter is Nick Vertucci, NV, I think, right? At Nick Vertucci, capital NV.
NV, yeah.
I'm on Instagram, but I'm not like a social media marketer. I don't know. You just Google in my name and I'm sure I don't know. Yeah, no, not really.
Well, Nick, I appreciate you coming on, dropping a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge, learning more about you as a person, you as, kind of how you think and stuff like that. So
I'm glad we did this. It was a real fun deal. And I'll tell you, let me prop you here. And I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. You do a great podcast. You know how to ask people questions to get them to talk. You have an amazing following. People love this podcast. So even if you have to do it less, still, hopefully you can still do it here or there because you're really good at it. And I think people miss it when you don't do it. And you know what, man? I think you got it right too, because you're not just humping boring poker either. You're talking about life. You got some love and interest for the UFC. A lot of people love that. I love the UFC, the whole thing. So whatever it is, like a Joe Rogan, whatever you just feel like talking about, do it because I think it's your wheelhouse, bro.
Well, I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, man.
You bet.
It's always something I try to think about, figure out whether I want to stick with poker or branch outside with the guest. And obviously you mentioned the topics aren't always poker. I love talking mindset, lifestyle. A lot of the stuff you're saying is stuff I really love.
It'll burn out the other way, but this way right here, people want to listen to this type of stuff. It's good. It's a good plan.
Well, I mean, coming from you, I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Well, thanks for having me on. Peace to you and everyone listening. And I hope I didn't put you in any uncomfortable positions. And maybe we'll do it again in a couple of years.
Definitely got to do it again. Guys in chat, appreciate all the comments, questions, all that. Trolls and non-trolls, serious things. Let me know what you think in the comments below or on social media. I always appreciate that, guys. Much love. Peace out. Be back tomorrow. See you guys later.